Hello, hello.
What's up?
What up, Teresa?
What's up,
I think.
everybody? It's happy hump day.
Yay, yay, yay! Yay, yay! Hey, Momo, what you doing? Okay, you're not going to answer me? Cool.
Oh God, I had it playing on both tabs, and I was like, "This is a lot of hellos."
There's a lot of us tonight. Us and our extra personalities have all come
Yeah.
along to play.
Yeah, I brought my extra as fuck with me today. Did y'all bring y'all's?
I feel like I've been carrying it around all day.
Man, I've been carrying around my whole life. It's a burden, let me tell you. Sorry I'm late, you guys. I went ahead and just went live from my phone because I was like, this is so rude to make people wait like that. And my stupid pewter is taking forever to restart. I don't know what it's doing. Probably had an update. Stupid computer. Probably had an update that I wasn't paying attention to because I was working on a video. Okay. So let's say hi to everybody. Let's see who we got here. Then let's scroll. Hello, Salty C. Hello, Tony. Hello, Momo. I already said hi to you. Hi, Shamita. Hi, Molson Man. I already said hello to naliTy. Hello, Dave G. Hello, Kez Chick. Hello, Sleuth Investigate. Hello, Miscellaneous.
Little special shout out for little Sleuth down there. It's her birthday today. Everybody say happy birthday, Sleuth.
Happy birthday, Sleuth. Welcome to the Aquarius Club. It's a cool place to be. Recliner Detective, hello. BR the Star, hello, hello. Paula Walking, Hope for Peace. Maria. I think I caught everybody. Well, hello. All right, now my computer is up and ready. So tonight we're going to do the 911 call. And they're just I'm given to understand it's just being played. They're not going to there's not going to be any testimony on it. Nobody's going to be speaking about it. It's just going to be played. And then we have a detective, and we have is it the medical examiner, Mo?
The medical examiner.
That too. All the things, you know.
Two detectives and Dr. Thompson.
But babe, I know he's a doctor. What is he a doctor of? Is he the medical? Is he the one that did the autopsy or what?
Oh, jeez. You're asking me hard questions.
Because you skipped ahead and have been watching this trial since 2 weeks ago. That's why. I figured you would know.
I didn't get to see all this because it wasn't on.
Oh, that's right. I figured you watched them.
I didn't really watch while I was recording. I just because I wanted to watch with y'all.
Oh, okay.
So we're doing tonight the 911 call and the two cops, or we're doing tonight's the 911 call and the medical examiner?
It's the 911 call, the two cops, and I guess Dr. Thompson. Is that what you said, Mo?
Yes.
Okay, so I think there's a doctor and then there's the medical examiner, if I remember correctly. It's been a few months, but
that's what I was wondering.
I think he is the doctor that was at the hospital.
Ah, okay. So he was the attending doctor.
And I do think that we need to do a poll before the 911 call on who thinks guilty, who thinks not guilty, even though they don't dive into the 911 call yet.
I agree.
I think that's perfect. I think that's absolutely what we should do. Oh my gosh. What is going on here with this stupid StreamYard? Come on. Oh, wait, there it goes. All right.
Chewy. All right. He is the Director of Emergency Medical Services at Regional Medical Center. So, yes, he's just the doctor, not the autopsy.
All right. Okay, perfect. All right, give me just a sec.
And when I watch some of it, the words match the mouth, so hopefully it'll work.
I'm sure it'll be fine, babe.
That's always a positive.
I'm sure it'll be just fine. I'm a little discombobulated. I don't like it when my routine is messed up. I'm not good at adjusting. All right. Also, I like to not charge my phone until like 2 minutes before I'm supposed to go live, so that it's down to like 32%. And you know how Truth and Transparency, how you doing? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I like to wait until 2 minutes and it's like 30%, and then you know how the StreamYards be taking up all your battery. So I got to charge my phone. Okay. So let's do this. Let's add the intro. And while the intro is playing, I will go and get your video. But StreamYard is being extremely slow today. I don't know what its beef is. All right. Okay. All right, ready? Here we go.
Yep.
Okie dokie. All right.
Man, I was right in the middle of my rave dance too. I was like,
be patient, Teresa, because tomorrow night it's going to be all rave the whole time, and it's a long one.
well,
It's a
tomorrow I
long
get
video.
class.
Yeah, but after class on your way home, you can put it on, you can listen, and you can have a whole rave. Yeah, you can be like, oonce, 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 oonce. That way it'll give you an opportunity to go ahead and pick up the glow stick and the whistle and a ring pop.
All needed. The ring pop. Oh
yeah.
man, the ring pops.
Yes.
Oh,
I have a ring pop. I have a ring pop right here beside me.
Oh, do you now?
Oh, she's all prepared.
You are very prepared, and get the Cinnaburst gum. Those who know.
Are you going to do the poll? Do you know how to do a poll? I don't think I
Yes, I know how to do a poll. Please hold.
You know, I'm still new to the tubes.
I know. Thanks, Lana, for the super chat, babe. I love that you use the channel as meet and greets. YouTube Studio. Oh, come on. It's going to be slow. Pretty sure it's under Studio. If it's not, it's under Channel. But don't worry. Either way, I'll figure it out. Here we
go. I got nothing, so I'll just sit here.
I'm 93% sure I know what I'm doing. I did it before. Let's see. First of all, I need to put it on subscribers only just because I'm tired of the bots. Okay. I think I have to do it from my channel, not from the studio. All right. Okay, let's see. How did I do this before? Poll. Oh, wait. That's not what I want to do. I love this dead air. Okay.
Sorry, I was yelling at children.
Oh, no, I don't.
Random ones, though. Random neighbor kids, not my own. So that's okay. I'm totally joking.
What are you, the neighborhood yeller? Hey, get off my yard.
You get off my yard. So we had a silver alert today in my area.
Oh,
and
no.
so yeah, so there's an elderly man who's missing, who apparently left his house at like 2:30 in the morning wearing a blue Mickey Mouse sweatshirt.
Oh.
And so I went out and drove around.
Oh, that's sweet.
Aww,
Did you find him?
No, I didn't find him, but I'm like, I want to find him.
Yeah, I want you to find him. That's so sad. You know, as being in Florida, you would think that there would be more silver alerts here, but there aren't that many. They hardly ever happen around here. It's about to happen, Molson Man, Friday, the 28th. I'm going to be 45 years old, and I don't want to talk about it because I don't even believe I'm 45. I feel like I'm about 23 for reals.
Well, I'm like 12, so.
Yeah, well, I'm at that 23 is how I feel physically most of the time, unless my back is hurting. Emotionally, I'm about 12 or 13. I fluctuate. Some days I'm more mature than others. Not really. I'm pretty much immature all the time. Well,
while we're waiting for Jen, everybody go hit that thumbs up. Please.
Did you guys? Can you see the poll, Mo? Can y'all see the poll?
Hold on.
Oh, you're not on. You can't see it on StreamYard. Yes, Molson Man, the anniversary. I was in 3rd grade when it happened, and I'll never forget it because everybody was so excited because remember it was the teacher, and she was going to go up, and all the teachers were excited, and so back in those days, you had to have like the TV was separate and it got wheeled into the classroom for movie day or whatever. So what they ended up doing is because they didn't obviously have enough TVs for every class to have a TV. So like all the 3rd grade was watching together, all the 4th like that. So we're all in our classroom, right? In Miss Hall's classroom. I'll never forget this. There's like 60 kids packed in there. And they turn it on and the countdown starts and, everybody is so excited and then it exploded. And even as we were young. I mean, 9 is young and nobody said anything. At first, I think some of the kids thought it might not be. I thought it wasn't real at first. And then I was like, oh no. When I heard the gasp from the news anchor, that's when I was like, oh God, this just happened. It was awful. So sad. Yes, Luce, we are January babies. Aquarius, the best of us. Teresa, you got a birthday coming up too, don't you? Aren't you pretty soon?
No, I'm September. I'm 9/11.
Oh, you're a little Virgo.
I have a different birthday anniversary.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I remember I was trying to think of what grade I was in when the Challenger exploded, because I was watching it on TV in my classroom too.
Okay, well, I'm like 3 years older than you. So if I was in 3rd grade, you were probably like in kindergarten.
No way, because I feel like I was in 3rd grade.
I can promise you on my life I was not. I remember it very distinctly.
What year was it?
1977, and the Challenger was 1986. Yeah, because
So
I
I was
turned 9. Mm-hmm.
I would have been in first grade then.
Okay.
First
Okay.
first, second. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Yeah, it was a sad day. 1986.
1986. Okay, so yeah. I would have been in first grade, but I remember it.
Yeah, it was a scary thing because I just remember all of us kids were just, and the teachers, they were so excited just because, the teacher was going
Because it
up
was the
there and
teacher was going up. Yep.
yeah, and she
We
had to
actually
go through
have
all.
a school in the school district named after that teacher.
Oh, do you? I mean,
And if you guys like conspiracies, you guys know the conspiracy around all that, right?
no, I've never heard a conspiracy of that.
Oh yeah, that it was all fake, of course, and that
Oh,
they have pictures of the people who went on the Challenger. They have their current photos of where they are and what they are doing nowadays.
Oh, wow.
Interesting. Although I mean, there's no way they faked that.
I don't think it's
like
fake
it's
either. I'm just
fake.
telling you, if you like conspiracies, it's a big one.
Yeah. I just, I'll never forget the teachers were crying. And that's, I think, more than anything, that's what freaked the kids out the most because they're teachers, first of all. And when you're that age, you don't think of a teacher as like a human. They're a teacher. They're like, you know what I'm saying? So to see them have an emotion like that, it freaks you out. I'll never forget it. I will never forget it. It was so sad.
That's how I was about Ronald Reagan being shot. I remember I was in grade
Oh,
school.
I would have been in grade school when that happened too. I just I don't remember it like I remember the Challenger. It was
I
like
was
a
so
big,
scared.
huge deal. It was a huge deal. All right. So moving on from Space Shuttle Challenger exploding to more shock and horror with the Todd Mullis 911 call. Corn rate killer. Let me make sure. Probably should go ahead and learn how to share your screen, Jen. Weirdo. All right, let me make this the right size. Oh, crap. After you hit share, there shouldn't be 11 billion more steps after that. This is getting ridiculous, StreamYard. I really don't appreciate it. All right, here we go.
Would like to proceed by way of playing a video. I believe that there is a stipulation from the defense and the state as to the foundation of these 911 videos.
Okay. You want to identify, is it marked with an exhibit number?
Your Honor, it is People's Exhibit Number 2 or State's Exhibit Number 2.
Okay.
And they're in 2 segments, but it's one full call.
Mr. Firehelm, any objection to State's Exhibit 2 coming into evidence?
No, we previously discussed it. That's fine.
Okay. 2 is admitted into evidence, and you intend to publish at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Everyone listen closely.
The address of your emergency room. Oh, this is Todd. Hello. Where are you at? I'm on the road. I'm on a bus. Okay. What's going on, sir? My wife. She's on a full pork sitting in the barn. Okay. She's not responsive. I'm just me and my son bringing it. Okay, so your wife is in a barn. You said she's unresponsive? No, she's in a full ducking, what you call corn fork. I don't know if she tripped. I don't know. She was halfway out the door. I sent my son over to check on her. Okay. He's yelling at me and I'm on the ride. Okay. She looks gone. Okay. We'll get an ambulance for in just a second. I'm headed there.
Hey, wait, Mo, did you ever tell me about the poll? Can you see the poll?
Yes, it was. Let me look again.
Because I can't see it. Let me see if I can pin it.
Oh, it's gone up. 53% innocent and 47% guilty.
All right, let me pin it. Why won't it let me?
It is pinned.
Is it? Okay. I wonder why I can't see it on my YouTube. All right, weird. Okay. Sorry, you guys. That was abrupt and in a weird place. My bad.
About to. Okay, so you're headed to. Okay, what's the hospital? I just grabbed her. in the truck. My son called me. Okay, you're headed to the hospital and she's in your vehicle? Yes, my white truck. Okay, just a second here. Is she there's no call. There's no call. Please just get on the phone for me. Just a second. I'm gonna have another dispatcher get on. I'm gonna ask you to pause. Can you pull over? I can. Okay. How about you pull over? Sir, what's your current location, and we'll get an ambulance headed your way. All right. Another dispatcher, get on. I'm going to ask you to pause. Can you pull over? I can. Okay. How about you pull over? Sir, what's your current location, and we'll get an ambulance headed your way. All right. Brian Coleman's new house. I can be right in Oneida, right? East Oneida. Oneida. Okay. Did you guys do anything? She's just. There's nothing. Okay. What is your name, sir? Todd Mullis. And what are you driving? White Chevy. A white Chevy. I can be closer. A white Chevy truck? No, I don't feel anything. God damn, she's there. Cover her up a little bit. She's got her fucking pants off. I gotta get her out of this shit. You feel anything? 25 Manchester. Do you see anything? Feel anything? 28.5 Manchester. Where's the other kids? Somebody said his wife in the vehicle unresponsive. They're coming to Oneida. I asked him to stop there. We've got the ambulance paged out. Can you head that way? Can I get a little closer? He said Oneida. Can I go a little closer? I've got an officer almost to where you're at. Okay. Okay. I'll turn it off so they can get there. Go ahead. You can pull right in here. Cut. What? I'm just east of Oneida. Okay. All right. You feel anything? Amy. Amy. Okay, so what happened that she's not conscious or breathing? She fell on a fork. I took out a fork on her. It was an old fork sitting in somewhere, and then she was halfway out of the barn. Like, I was calling to get out, and then Tristan yelled, and I ran over there, and she's laying there. And pulled it out of her. I couldn't get her out of the barn. The doors were narrow, and she's not responding. Was this like a pitchfork? One of them old corn forks. Right. That's like a sidewalk fork? Yeah, well, it's kind of got a curve on it. I don't know how that freaking happened. I'm sorry about my cursing. Okay. So is she bleeding? I can't tell. I just, when I seen it, she was face down. Just hold the pitchfork out of her. How old is she? I couldn't get out of the door. How old is she? 38. Okay. She's 38 or 39. Okay. She is not responding. Okay. Come on. Sir, do you feel comfortable doing CPR? I can try. I'll try anything. Okay. I'll try anything. I guess she's laying on my son's lap. Is she flat on the? Are you able to get her flat across maybe the seat? Well, I think it's in the back of the truck. But she's laying on my son's lap. Okay. Oh my God! When I pushed on her, she got like foam in her mouth. She's foaming from the mouth. I don't know how to get her laid flat. You know what I mean? She's laying across her son's lap. Oh, she's got a little blood, around the back.
Is he able to get on, maybe he can get on the floor of the truck and you can lay her across the seat so we can get her flat?
So Tristan, get out, and we lay her on the, and we'll get her on the seat. Okay. Oh, shit. No. Get out. And lean the seat back a little bit. Where's the seat back? Okay, she's very flat. I'm trying to hold on to the phone.
Right. Can you put it on? Can you put the phone on?
What do I do?
Okay.
Lay her flat, as flat as I can.
As flat as you can. Heel of your hand on her breastbone in the center of her chest, right between her nipples.
Okay.
And place your other hand on top of that hand.
Okay.
Okay. Pump the chest hard and fast, at least twice per second, 2 inches deep. Let the chest come all the way up between pumps, and we're going to do this until they get there and can assist. Okay.
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 Twice per second. I get 1, 2. 1, 2. My son is right here. It's private.
Now.
New house, building just
The deputies are almost there. Okay. Keep doing the compressions until they can help and take over, okay? Keep going, you're doing fine.
Okay.
Keep going.
Come on, respond. He's cold. Come on. Come on. Come on. Good. Come on. Oh, shit. Going on the ground. Damn it. Just.
Is the officer there with you, sir?
Yeah, he's here.
Okay,
It's, what is your name, Luke?
that's fine. Do you want me to stay on the line with you, or are you okay?
No, I can't talk on the phone.
Okay, all right.
My son's right here. I gotta.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Okay, is the state ready with a witness?
Okay, let me take away the poll and make a new poll. It doesn't show me. Hold on a second.
I don't know if that's the whole call. That's what they played, so I don't know.
The way mine shows is it's 50-50. Hold on. Let me.
Yeah,
refresh.
it changed.
Okay. Okay, this is what I think we should do. I'm going to end the poll, okay? And then I'm going to rewind the 911 call, and I'm going to turn on the closed captioning. Okay?
That sounds good to me.
All right, let's
Okay.
do that. All right. All right.
Okay, another witness for the state?
Your Honor, at this time, the state would like to proceed by way of playing a video. I believe that there is a stipulation from the defense and the state as to the foundation of these 911 videos.
Okay. You want to identify, is it marked with an exhibit number?
Your Honor, it is People's Exhibit Number 2, or State's Exhibit Number 2.
Okay.
And they're in 2 segments, but it's one full call.
Mr. Firehelm, any objection to State's Exhibit 2 coming into evidence?
No, we previously discussed it. That's fine.
Okay, 2 is admitted into evidence, and you intend to publish at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Delaware County 911. What's the address of your emergency room?
Oh, it's Todd.
Hello. Hello.
Where
are you at?
Well, applause is awkward.
Okay. What's going on?
That's clearly not accurate.
I saw the full pork sitting in the barn. Okay.
It might not be. I'll pick it up.
Okay, so your wife is in a barn and said she's unresponsive?
There it goes.
Your wife is in a bar.
I don't know if she tripped. I don't know. She was halfway out the door. I sent my son over to check on her.
Okay.
She's yelling at me and I'm on the ride.
Okay.
She looks gone.
Okay. We'll get an ambulance for in just a second.
I'm headed there. I'm about to.
Okay, so you're headed to where? Okay, what's
the hospital? I just grabbed her and threw her in the truck. And my son pulled me.
Okay, you're headed to the hospital and she's in your vehicle?
Yes, my white truck.
Okay, just a second here. Is she
There's no pulse.
there's no pulse. Can you just get on the phone for me? Just a second. I'm gonna have another dispatcher get on. I'm gonna ask you to pause. Can you pull over?
I can.
Okay. How about you pull over? Sir, what's your current location, and we'll get an ambulance headed your way.
All right.
Another dispatcher, get on. I'm going to ask you to pause. Can you pull over?
I can.
Okay. How about you pull over? Sir, what's your current location, and we'll get an ambulance headed your way.
All right. Brian Coleman's new house. I can be right in Oneida, right? East of Oneida.
Oneida. Okay.
You didn't do anything. She's just, there's nothing.
Okay. What is your name, sir?
Todd Mullis.
And what are you driving?
White Chevy.
A white Chevy.
I can be closer.
A white Chevy truck?
Listen to you.
No, I don't feel anything.
Goddamn, she's around. Cover her up a little bit. She has her fucking pants on. I gotta get her out of this shit. You feel anything?
25 minutes.
Thanks, closed captioning, for messing up.
You feel anything?
28.5 Manchester.
Where's the other kids?
Somebody said his wife in the vehicle unresponsive. They're coming to Oneida. I asked him to stop there. We've got the ambulance paged out. Can you head that way?
Can I get a little closer?
He said Oneida.
Can I go a little closer?
I've got an officer almost to where you're at.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll turn it off so they can get her.
Go ahead.
They can pull right in here.
What?
I'm just east of Oneida.
Okay. All right.
You feel anything? Amy. Amy.
Okay, so what happened that she's not conscious or breathing?
She fell on a fork. I had put down a fork on her. It was an old fork sitting in somewhere, and then she was halfway out of the barn. Like she called me to get out, and then just yelled, and I ran over there, and she was laying there.
And pulled it out of her.
I couldn't get her out of the barn. The doors were narrow, and she's not responding.
With the force of a tractor at this moment, when she's unresponsive, we haven't pulled over alongside the road. Was this like a pitchfork?
One of them old corn forks.
Right. That's like a silent fork.
Yeah, well, it's kind of got a curve on it. I don't know how that freaking happened. I'm sorry about my cursing.
Okay. So is she bleeding?
I can't tell. When I seen it, she was face down.
Just pulled the pitchfork out of her. How old
I couldn't get out of the door.
How old is she?
38.
Okay.
asked me. She said 38 or 39.
Okay.
She did not respond me.
Okay.
Come on.
Sir, do you feel comfortable doing CPR?
I can try. I'll try anything.
Okay.
I'll try anything. I guess she's laying on my son's lap.
Is she flat on the? Are you able to get her flat across maybe the seat?
Well, I think it's in the back of the truck. But she's laying on my son's lap.
Okay.
Oh my God. When I pushed on her, she got like foam in her mouth.
She's foaming from the mouth. I don't know how to get her laid flat.
She's.
You know what I mean? She's laying across her son's lap.
She got a little blood, around the back.
Is he able to get on? Maybe he can get on the floor of the truck, and you can lay her across the seat so we can get her flat.
Go just and get out, and we'll lay her on the, and we'll get her on the seat. Okay. Oh shit. Get out. Get out. And lean the seat back a little bit.
Where's the seat?
Lean the seat back. Okay, she's very flat. I'm telling you, I got trying to hold on to the phone.
Right. Maybe put it on. Maybe put the phone on.
What do I do?
Okay.
Lay her flat, as flat as I can.
As flat as you can. All of your hands on her breastbone in the center of her chest, right between her nipples.
Okay.
And place your other hand on top of that hand.
Okay.
Okay. Pump the chest hard and fast, at least twice per second, 2 inches deep. Let the chest come all the way up between pumps, and we're going to do this until they get there and can assist. Okay.
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 Twice per second. I get 1, 2. 1, 2. My son is right here. It's private.
Now.
New house.
The deputies are almost there. Okay. Keep doing the compressions until they can help and take over, okay? Keep going, you're doing fine.
Okay.
Keep going.
Come on, the spine. She's cold. Come on. Come on. Come on. Good. Come on. Oh, shit. Going on the ground. Just.
Is the officer there with you, sir?
Yeah, he's here.
Okay.
It's, what is your name, Luke?
That's fine. Do you want me to stay on the line with you, or are you okay?
No, I can't talk on the phone.
Okay, all right.
My son's right here. I gotta.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Whew.
Okay, so I put the poll up. I'm very annoyed at the fact that the closed captions decided to stop working at the critical moment. So I know there's a way to do this. I will figure it out, and we're gonna this 911 call is important. They're gonna talk about it again. But I'm gonna try to see if I can get it. I don't want to, like, what is it called? Transcribe it myself, because obviously I want to see what like closed captioning picks up. So I'll mess with it tomorrow and see what I can come up with, see if it'll work. But
yeah, I don't know if it'll pick it up. There's a lot of background commotion
Yeah.
and hard breathing. But
Yeah.
to me, he sounds genuine. Like genuinely scared. In my opinion.
I agree. He's like desperate. He's like, I'll do anything. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, she fell in a corner, like a corn fork. Like, I don't know what you're talking. Like, what do you want me to say? You know, and he keeps repeating, like, she was stuck in there. I had to pull it out because I couldn't get her out the door.
Right.
Yeah. And I think I think that his thought process is that she's hurt and he needs to get her help, which is why he put her in the vehicle. I don't find that incredibly suspect, especially considering where he lives. It's a rural area, and he may have just thought that him driving would have been faster to get her to the hospital and get her help, and he could call 911 on the way. That's what I think.
agree. Yeah, because he even says that. He says, I can get closer.
Well, yeah, but they don't. But this is where the 911 operator, this is why she had him pull over, because she wasn't responsive. Had she been responsive, it would have been different, but she wasn't. That's why they wanted him to pull over and dispatched a deputy out there. Now, I will say this. I do think he sounded genuine. I do think he sounded desperate, but I don't know how he was doing chest compressions and holding the phone and blowing into her mouth. That's the only part that I am.
He didn't blow into her mouth. He only did the chest compressions, and he said he had the phone on his shoulder.
Right.
Oh, sorry, not to go ahead, but
right.
He did not do the. I didn't understand why he didn't do the mouth ones either, but she didn't tell him to.
Well, right, but he also didn't try to. Well, probably because she was filming. But what my point is that you know how to do CPR, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you do an effective job of giving CPR, the chest compression part, if you're holding your phone in your shoulder?
Well, no.
No,
I
you
wouldn't
can't.
think so.
No. That's the only part I have a problem with, is that, and I not
then
that
I'll play devil's advocate and say she doesn't tell him to put the phone down.
That's where I was going next. To be fair to him, she did not say, put your phone on speaker next to you and I'll give you the directions. And I will say this, I know that being a 911 operator is an incredible job, but I heard her panic in her voice. And when she and I could hear thank you, Lana. I could hear the other 911. I could hear panic in her voice too. And that may he didn't. I couldn't figure out what he was. It sounded like he was, because she was saying now.
Yes.
Which that's what made me and then he made a noise like he was blowing in her mouth, which is what made me think he had her blowing in, or she had him blow in her mouth. But then I realized that doesn't make sense, because she would have told him to clean out her airway first, to check her airway, and she didn't do that. So, okay. Although I don't know what would cause a foaming of the mouth like that. I'm not sure that being impaled with a fork causes that, but I'm not a doctor, so I don't know. But I do believe, I can't even take credit for the pick, Truth and Transparency. That was all criminality, Teresa. I'm wondering about that. I'm wondering about that. I don't know yet, though. Let's because I'll tell you this. When my youngest daughter was right before she turned 2, okay? I was holding her, and she had been sick that day. She'd run like a low-grade fever, 99.9. And I called the pediatrician, and the pediatrician said, no, don't give her any Tylenol. Don't bring her fever down. It's just a low-grade fever, and that's the way that it's the body's way of fighting whatever's going on. I said, okay, because new school of thought. With the other 3 kids, I would have given them Tylenol. So my mom called me and I was on the phone with my mom and I was holding her in my arms. And I looked down at her and all of a sudden she's blowing bubbles of spit out of her mouth. That's what it looked like. Which I'm imagining that's probably what he saw. And I knew right then something was wrong. And so I hung up with my mom and I immediately called 911. And it turns out that she had had a febrile seizure. And then to make matters worse, the ambulance arrives and the paramedics are trying to figure out how to convert 20 pounds into kilograms. So, which should have been the most easy way to figure out, because it's an even number. The answer is 2.2. And as I was listening to them argue back and forth, I did the math for them. My dad is a nurse and he taught me how to do it. So I'm telling them this. So they give her the nasal Versed and her seizure didn't stop. And then they gave her it intravenously. By the time we got to the children's hospital, the nasal had and the intravenously had hit together and she stopped breathing. She scared the crap out of me. But as far as what happened to Miss Amy here, it's her lungs being punctured is a definite possibility. Recliner detective, I guess we'll find out, but we're not going to find out if I keep talking. So I'm going to push play unless Teresa or Mo has something to say.
I'm ready.
You ready? Okay,
Yeah,
dokie.
I'm ready.
Here we go.
Okay, is the state ready with a witness? Go ahead.
Statement call Luke Thompson.
Okay.
Hey, Jeanette or Janette. Welcome. Glad to have you. Heather, whatever. I don't remember if I said hi to you.
Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead and have a seat there. State your name and spell it for the record, please.
Deputy Luke Thompson, Luke Thomsen.
Oh, Deputy Luke looks like he don't mess around. Hey.
What is your occupation? Deputy Sheriff with the Delaware County Sheriff's Department. How long have you been a sheriff's deputy with Delaware County? Just over 15 years. Prior to Delaware County, do you have any other law enforcement experience? Yeah, I worked for Dyersville, Iowa for about 3.5 years. Are you certified in law enforcement? Yes. Did you go to the Law Enforcement Academy? Yes. What are your present duties with the Delaware County Sheriff's Department? I'm a regular road deputy. Were you on duty as a regular road deputy for the Delaware County Sheriff's Department on November 10th of 2018? Yes. You know what shift you were working that day? 8 in the morning till 6 p.m. Was there anyone else riding with you that day? No. At some point during your shift, did you receive a dispatch concerning the events we are here for today? Yes. Do you recall about what time that was? 12:05. Do you recall what the nature of the dispatch was? It came across to me as some type of farming accident, is what I thought. Did you respond to it? Yes. And to where did you respond? To 2337 170th Street. And approximately how long did it take you to get there? Just a few minutes. When you first arrived at that scene, what did you see? I saw a young man, looked like he had blood on his coat, flagging me down as I pulled up. Right. Were there other people there? Yes. Who else was there? Todd Mullis was there. And then there was a female in the passenger seat of the pickup that was unresponsive. And so what did you do? I got out and I told Todd, I think who was still on the phone, can you help me get her out of the car where we can work on her on the ground a little bit better? So I grabbed her upper half and he grabbed her lower half, and we put her on the ground and I started doing chest compressions.
And how long before others arrived to assist?
2 or 3 minutes, maybe.
While all of this was going on, did you have any opportunity to speak with the defendant?
Yes.
What information were you trying to get from him?
I was asking him questions about what had happened.
What did he tell you?
He told me he was not sure. He found her in the shed away from where he was at. And then he had that she had a corn rake in her back.
How would you describe Amy's condition while you were there at that scene?
She was unresponsive and not breathing, no pulse. She had some bruising on her jaw, another bruise on her right arm, I believe, and then she had quite a bit of blood on her clothes.
Was she able to communicate at all?
No.
Was she responsive at all?
No.
Were you able to observe what the defendant and his son Tristan were doing while Amy was being worked on?
Not a whole lot. No, I was concerned with her more than anything at the time.
Once others came, were you relieved of chest compressions?
Yes.
Were you able to make any observations regarding the demeanor of the defendant and his son?
His son, or Tristan, appeared to be fairly quiet, standing there kind of in shock from what I remember. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to him, other than I think we worked at trying to get him away from what was going on. I don't know how successful we were, but then I started talking to Todd, and he was pretty excited and pretty talkative. Not a whole lot of emotion.
After Amy left in the ambulance, did the defendant go with her? Did he drive himself? Do you recall? Did he go with somebody?
He rode with a friend of the family, I believe.
And what happened to Tristan when the defendant left with somebody else?
Tristan was still there at the scene.
Did he just stay there, or did you
No.
see him? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, he eventually left, and we followed him over to the farm where the incident took place.
Do you know who he left with?
It was a friend of the family. I believe it was Mike Krogman, if I'm not mistaken.
You indicated that you followed them back to the farm?
Yes.
What was the purpose of you following them back to the Mullis farm?
I wanted to be able to get an idea of what happened so I could relay the information to the hospital.
Did anybody go with you or follow you?
Deputy Hollab.
Did you and Tristan and Deputy Hollab all arrive at approximately the same time on the Mullis farm?
Yes.
And what did you do when you got there?
We asked Tristan where it happened, and he showed us a red shed that was, the sliding door was open a couple feet, and he showed us where he found his mom laying in it.
And once Tristan showed you this red shed and the basic layout and where he found his mother, what did you and Deputy Hollab do?
We took pictures. Deputy Hollab took pictures, and we just observed what was inside of the shed.
Was Tristan with you the whole time you were doing this?
No.
Where was he?
Shortly after he showed us and gave us an explanation of what he had found, he went into the house.
What did you do next?
I left shortly after that, got in my car, started heading towards the hospital. I called the ER.
Hey, sugar beet.
The information that I had found out, how I believe she had gotten the injuries that she has. And after I talked with them, I called my boss, Sheriff John LeClaire. I advised him of what I was dealing with, and then I proceeded to go into the hospital.
And why did you go to the hospital versus the sheriff's department?
Because I knew that's where they'd taken Amy, and they needed anything from me in there, I'd be available.
And what did you do when you got to the sheriff's department?
To the hospital?
I'm sorry, the hospital.
I basically stood out of the operating room where they had Amy until they had pronounced her deceased. And
Was the defendant there at the hospital as well?
yes,
Were you able to speak with him a little bit about what had happened at the farm there at the hospital?
yes.
What did he tell you there at the hospital?
I asked him who was at the farm that day, and what they were doing before they had found Amy.
Okay. And what did he tell you?
He told me that she had some kind of procedure a few days before that. They were all out in the hog building, working on cleaning up some things, taking care of this and that. And he thought that she didn't seem to be doing real well at whatever they were doing. I don't know if he thought she was tired or something to that effect. And he said, he asked her if she could go get a pet carrier out of the shed and bring it back so they could put some kittens in it so they didn't get ran over by a skid loader. And so he sent her off to the shed and she never came back. He said approximately 20 to 40 minutes later, he walked out of the hog barn, noticed that the pet carrier wasn't there. So he sent Tristan looking for her or the pet carrier. And that was when Tristan went over to the shed, walked in and found his mother laying there, hunched over with her arms underneath and a fork in her back.
All right. Was Tristan at the hospital as well?
Yes.
Did you ask the defendant if you could talk to Tristan?
Yes.
Did he allow it?
Yes.
Did he want to talk to Tristan alone first?
Yes.
About how long did he speak with Tristan before he allowed him to talk to you?
I would say a couple minutes.
And do you recall what you spoke to Tristan about?
I spoke to him about this, almost the same type of thing that I spoke to Todd about.
Hey, me more.
Other than the things we just talked about, was there anything else that you did involving this case?
Shortly after that, I did take Todd over to the sheriff's office with me, and Sheriff John LeClaire and I interviewed him about the incident and what had gone on.
At any time while you were talking to him, did he ever suggest to you that foul play was involved that day?
No.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Cross-examination.
Deputy Thompson, you indicated you got the call about 12:05.
Yes.
Do you recall what the weather conditions were like that?
Okay, you guys, I'm going to put this on 1.5 speed if that's okay with everybody, because their speech is a little slow. So hope that's okay with everybody.
That was the prosecutors asking those questions, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just the male prosecutor.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. But I think people in the chat were confused. So then I got confused.
Yeah, no, well, typically you wouldn't ask the, this is still the state's case, and they asked for cross. So.
Right. I was like, maybe I missed it because I did get up and
no, you didn't.
Something.
You're good. You're good.
Okay.
I'm going to speed it up.
Day.
It was fairly cold.
Any precipitation?
I think there was maybe a light dusting of snow, I would say in the shaded areas, but it wasn't everywhere.
Okay. When you arrived and met on the roadway there where Todd and Tristan were with Amy, when you helped Todd remove her from the pickup, what clothing did she have on?
I think she had a hooded jacket on and tan colored pants, if I remember correctly.
From a what you could visually see on her, about her. Could you tell if she had a gunshot wound, a knife wound, or more than one wound?
I noticed a couple of what looked like small holes in her back where the blood, most of the blood was, but I did not know what it was from.
Were the holes in the clothing?
I don't know.
Well, I guess what I'm asking you is, was her clothing removed so that you could see actually the body itself?
I think that her shirt and her jacket had came up far enough that was how it was hanging, like it was pulled up fairly high on her, and that's how I could see the wounds. Her clothing was not completely off, no.
Okay. Out there in the field before she was put in the ambulance, was her clothing removed by emergency personnel?
I don't recall.
Okay.
You almost can't even tell it's sped up.
Debbie Thompson, just a few minutes ago.
No, you
listened to the
can't.
911 call that Todd made just before
Great
you came into contact with him. Have you ever listened to that?
Thanks.
Yes.
How would you describe Todd's emotional state during that period?
Excited.
And that's what he continued to be as you had your exchanges with him there at the scene.
Yes.
But you characterize that as not a lot of emotion.
Correct.
And how would you describe not a lot of emotion? I mean, what is that?
I guess he wasn't crying or anything like that.
In your 15 plus years of law enforcement, have you seen people react differently to horrific situations?
Yes.
They're not all the same.
Correct.
And when you got back to the farm, Tristan went back there with who you think was a family friend, Mike Krogman. About how long would you estimate Tristan was down there around this shed showing you and Holob what he had seen or found?
I'm not sure.
Okay. How would you describe his emotional state when he was doing that with you?
I would say he was fairly quiet and seemed scared to me.
But once he got you two situated and looking around, then he went in the house.
Yes.
Did you have any more contact with him until you again talked to him at the hospital?
No.
So the explanation that Todd gave you when you went back to the hospital and talked to him, you asked him what they were doing. He said they were in the barn doing some things. She had some issues, went to get a pet carrier for these kittens. And after some passage of time, Tristan went to look for it. Is that basically it?
It's close, yes.
Hey, Gwenty, welcome. 4 hours later.
Was that pet carrier in that shed?
Yes.
Can you describe about where it was at?
If you walked into the sliding door of the shed that was open approximately 2 foot or so, you would see there were a whole bunch of big chemical containers in front of you. So you would have to take a left, and you would walk along. You'd have the sliding door on your left and these chemical containers on your right. And then the pet carrier was down another aisle to your right, about halfway. It was about eye level up on top of looks like a metal, almost like a metal crate, like a live cage for an animal or something. It was setting on top of it.
Do you have any idea whether or not that pet carrier had been moved recently?
I do not.
Okay. That's all the questions I have. Thank you, Deputy.
Mr. Bernal, anything else for him?
Just briefly, Your Honor. Just briefly, Your Honor. When you were speaking with the defendant during your interviews, did he keep reiterating how dizzy or lightheaded Amy was?
I think he mentioned it a couple times.
And defendant's counsel mentioned on cross-examination the 911 tape we just listened to. In that tape, dispatch was told by the defendant, and very excitedly, that Amy fell on a corn fork. So when you were at the farm, would you have been looking for anyone else around the farm or any footprints or any evidence of anybody other than Mullis family members?
No.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you, sir. Another witness for the state?
State would call Eric Holub.
I'm very interested. Well, never mind.
Okay.
Well, his lawyer says
more you do
it
to
was
this matter,
murder,
truth, the
but
whole
he
truth, and nothing
didn't
but the
do
truth.
the murder.
Go ahead.
Wait, say that again.
His lawyer's saying it's murder, but he didn't do the murder. So I'm interested in who the lawyer thinks did the murder.
Well, Yeah, me too. But remember, it's not the defense's job to provide an alternate suspect. They don't have to
I
do
agree.
that.
I'm just wondering what's in his head.
Well, I don't know.
Because I know what's in my head, but let's go.
Okay.
I can tell you what's not in his head, and that's an objection.
Thank you, ma'am. Because that on redirect, how many leading questions was that?
It's so bad. I can't even count that high. I don't think anymore.
I think we've got to be at this point. We're on day number 3 of the trial, and 11 billion leading questions. It's got to be some kind of record.
Somewhere close to 11 billion. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
11 billion. Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's an absolutely real number. Just so y'all know.
Yeah. You can Google it.
It's fancy for a fuck ton.
I like that.
State your name and spell it for the record, please. Eric Holub.
Welcome
First
back,
name
Wilson.
ERIC. Holub, HOLUB.
Go ahead, counsel.
The defense didn't question him.
They did.
Yeah, they did. There wasn't very many questions.
There wasn't that many. No.
Okay, yeah.
Now we're on the new detective.
He asked how he looked. Was he crying? He asked how the son reacted. Was he crying? And that's about it.
Okay, I think I'm at the same place then. Okay.
Pointless questions.
Training, background, and experience in law enforcement.
I think he was trying to point out that neither one of them had any emotion.
I think so too.
I graduated from the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy at Hawkeye in the fall of 2004.
Which proves nothing.
And I also have a criminal justice degree from Mount Mercy.
No, it doesn't prove. I didn't cry when
what
County happened to my daughter. I was very calm.
I'm a firearms instructor, and I work patrol.
Do you recall whether or not you were on duty last year on November 10th?
Yes, I was.
Was anyone else with you that day?
I had a reserve deputy riding with me.
Who was that?
Mark Banghart.
Any particular reason you had a reserve with you?
Our reserves try to get out at least once a month.
And do you recall what shift you were working?
I was working 6 a.m. to 4 p.m.
At some point during your shift, did you receive the same dispatch that Luke Thompson received?
Yes, I did.
And did you respond?
Yes.
To where did you respond?
It was 170th Street, just east of Oneida.
Do you recall approximately how long it took for you to get there?
It was approximately 6 minutes.
And what did you see when you arrived?
I saw Deputy Thompson performing CPR on Amy Mullis, and Tristan, Amy's son, and Todd were standing next to Deputy Thompson.
What did you do to assist?
Mark went over, or Deputy Banghart, our reserve deputy, went over and assisted Luke with CPR, and I went over and talked with.
Okay, so to answer you guys' questions, that this deputy he met Todd at the truck and helped give Amy CPR. That's what happened. All right, here we go.
With Todd Mullis.
And at some point, did some additional assistance arrive? EMTs, ambulance?
Yes, we had really first responders and Manchester Regional Medical Center ambulance showed up on scene.
Approximately how long before they arrived after you arrived?
The ambulance crews? Yes. It wasn't too long after. Really showed up fairly soon after I showed up.
And what was your personal observation of Amy Mullis' condition when you were there at the scene?
It did not look good. Her skin was pale.
Was she responsive?
Unresponsive.
Were you able to observe the defendant or his son while she was being worked on?
Yes, I did.
And what was their demeanor or emotional state?
I mostly talked with Todd at the scene. He was having a hard time staying focused, excited, and he wanted to call somebody so that they could go to his residence because he had 2 younger kids that were there at the time, unattended.
Was that his primary focus, the children at the residence, as opposed to his wife there on the ground?
Yes, at that time, he wanted to call somebody.
And what happened to Mr. Mullis when the ambulance left? Did he go with the ambulance?
No.
Do you know where he went?
I believe a family friend gave him a ride to the regional medical center.
Do you know where he went?
He hopped in with family friend and went back to their family farm.
And where did you go?
Deputy Thompson and I both followed that vehicle back to the Mullis residence.
And what was the purpose of you following it back?
To determine what had happened to Amy Mullis.
And did you all arrive at about the same time?
Yes.
And what did you do when you got there?
We followed Tristan into a red shed. It's located just southeast of their residence there.
And what were you wanting Tristan to show you there?
We wanted him to show us where he found his mother.
How long was he with you? Was he with you the whole time you were at the shed, or was he with you a short time?
He was there with us for a short time.
And after he left, what did you do?
We took photographs of what we found inside the shed.
And when Tristan left, do you know where he went?
He went back into their residence.
Did you speak with him again later?
Yes, I did.
And what did you speak with him about?
If he knew what happened to his mom.
What did he tell you?
Tristan stated that his mother was going out to get a dog carrier from the shed, and it had been a while. So he said that his father, Todd, asked him to go out to the shed to see what was taking so long.
And that's where he found his mother?
Yes.
Was that pretty much all you talked about when you were talking to Tristan in the home?
Yes.
You indicated you took some photographs, is that correct?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach? Yes. Deputy, I'm handing you what's been previously marked as States Exhibits 3 through 22. I would ask you to take a look at those, please. Do you recognize States Exhibits 3 through 22?
Yes.
What are States Exhibits 3 through 22?
These are the photographs I took at the scene.
And who took those? Sorry, you took those photographs?
Yes.
And are those photographs a true and accurate representation of the places and items depicted in each of the photographs at the time the photos were taken back on November 10th of 2018?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, this time I would offer States Exhibits 3 through 22 into evidence.
Any objection? No, Your Honor. States Exhibits 3 through 22 are all admitted.
At this time, Your Honor, I would ask permission to publish and ask additional questions about each photo.
Yes, go ahead.
Deputy, if you would, I guess, watch the screen as opposed to the photos in front of you. We will cycle through 3 through 22, and I would just ask for each one, kind of tell us what is depicted there. And so we'll start with number 3. You took that photo. What is it?
That's the entrance to the shed. That would be the east side.
When you say the shed that Amy Mullis was found in by Tristan.
Correct.
There appears to be a little bit of snow on the ground. Is that correct?
Yes.
What time of year was it?
November 10th.
All right. Next picture, please. Exhibit number 4 is of what?
That's the corn rake that we found inside the shed.
Apparently not the full corn rake, but the tines. Any particular reason you just took a photo of the tines?
I took a picture of this when I was back at the booking room because the lighting was better, and you could clearly see how far in Amy the prongs went.
Next photo, please. Exhibit 5. Where was this taken, and what does it show?
That was taken inside the shed. It shows the exact location where we found the corn rake at.
And there's something that looks almost like a ruler next to it.
Yes.
Who put that there?
I did.
And what's that for?
It's for size comparison.
The corn rake also appears to have a broken handle. Was it like that when you found it?
Yes.
Anything else in that photograph that was of interest?
Just that the corn rake was there meeting at the intersection of the narrow aisle walkway and the center aisle.
Exhibit 6 shows what?
Be 2 drops of blood on the concrete.
All right. Those look like they might be difficult to see. Are you able to indicate on that ruler or ruling device approximately where they are on there?
It looks like the 4. Do you mind if I look here? It's kind of hard to see them.
Oh.
Yeah, on here it's the 1.
Night nonstop, Mom.
And the towel? Was there any significance with the towel?
No, not with that one.
It just happened to be there.
It just happened to be on the ground, yes.
All right. Next photo, please. That looks to be similar. Is it the same picture, just taken twice, or is there something significant about this one?
Same. I might have just gone a little bit closer, I guess.
Next, please. Exhibit 8.
That was another towel that we found on the ground.
It was just the towel, or is there anything else?
There, by number 9, there is a drop of blood there.
Right. Exhibit number 9 appears to be another photo of the corn rake. Why did you take this one?
Just for a different angle than previous.
When you were talking about where these passages meet, can you describe that a little bit based on that photograph?
There's some chemical totes that have metal framework to give them some structure, and they were stacked up upon one another, kind of formed a wall when you first walked into the shed. And what you're looking at there where I was standing taking this photograph, it's a narrow aisle because the totes were right next to me to the right. And then that led down to a center aisle in the shed.
Number 10.
A close-up picture of the corn rake. Just another picture, a little different angle.
Same thing?
Yes.
Next. What's the purpose of Exhibit 13? What are you trying to show there?
The distance between each prong. There's 4 of them on the corn rake.
Is it easier to see in the physical photograph that will go back with the jury, the prongs there?
Yes, this is fairly dark.
Same thing?
Yes, just another picture of the same.
What is that?
That is the dog carrier that Tristan he had discussed inside the home.
And how do you know that is the dog carrier?
It was the only one that I noticed in the shed.
Did Tristan pointed out to you, or is it just the only one you noticed?
It was the only one I noticed.
What is Exhibit 16 showing?
Just a side angle of the same dog carrier.
Did you pull that out, or was it already out?
It was exactly as it is.
On each side of it, there appears to be something yellow. What is that?
I'm not a farmer. I think it's a farm implement item.
Below, there appear to be maybe augers of some kind.
Yes.
Were those there when you took the picture?
Yes.
How much space is there between the auger on the left and whatever is out of the frame to the left?
There's not really that much more room to the left. That's where, again, there's kind of a wall of these chemical totes.
On each side?
To the left, yes.
So behind this pet carrier, are there any tools hanging?
Not that I noticed.
Exhibit 17, what's being shown there?
This is located on the driveway of the residence that we first pulled up to, and that would be blood from Amy Mullis, where CPR was performed.
What's this one show?
That's the exact same thing, except I put that ruler there for scale.
Right. Next photo, please. Number 19.
This is another picture of the entrance into the shed.
So how much of an opening do you have right there, Deputy?
It's not very wide. I think the door was stuck. We tried to push on it, but it seemed like that's where it wanted to remain.
Number 20, please. Just another angle of the pet carrier?
Yes.
21. What's the show?
This shows as soon as you walk in through the entryway to the shed, this is that narrow aisle I was discussing earlier.
And the towels that were previously depicted in other photographs?
Yes, as well as you can see the corn rake there at the end.
All right. And number 22.
It's another picture of the same towel with the 2 drops of blood on the concrete.
Is that all the photographs you took at the Mullis residence?
No. Oh, yes, that is.
So after you took the photographs, did you collect anything?
Yes.
What did you collect?
I collected the corn rake, the towel that had the drop of blood on it, and also the trousers that were worn by Tristan.
Where did you go after the farm?
I drove immediately from there to the regional medical center.
Why did you go to the regional medical center?
To check on the condition of Amy Mullis.
And when you arrived at the hospital, were there some concerns about how the injuries to Amy Mullis occurred?
Yes.
And where did this concern about how the injuries occurred come from?
Dr. Thompson was concerned that there was too many holes on her back.
Who is Dr. Thompson?
He works as a doctor for the regional medical center in their ER.
Did he ask you for anything?
Yes, he wanted me to take a picture of the corn rake to see how wide it was.
What did you tell him?
I took a picture of it and showed it to him. And then Dr. Thompson wanted to see it in person.
Did you have it with you?
Yes.
And did you produce it?
Yes, I did.
What was done with it?
I drove my squad car into their ambulance, Sallyport, and I took it out of my squad car and Dr. Thompson reviewed it there.
And after you were finished with it at the hospital, did you tag it and secure it as evidence?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
I've never heard a judge say no, but I kind of wish they would just one time.
This bag will contain what will soon be marked as exhibit number 23. I would ask you to examine that bag for a moment. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
What is it?
It's the bag signed by the state medical examiner.
Do you know what it contains?
It contains the corn rake that we retrieved from the shed.
How do you know that?
It has a broken handle and it's tagged.
If you would please, Deputy, please carefully open that bag and remove the contents.
Guys, step down here.
Sure. Look at the room. Please take it out of the bag.
Objection. Hold on a second. Why is he being allowed to handle evidence without gloving up? That's a bother to me. Although I suppose later on it could be, I just don't like that. But I wanted to address this, Molson Man, because this is actually an interesting question.
where were the children? Okay, well, they were inside. We know that when this was going on, right? But they took off to the hospital, and there's no mention of them stopping in the house and letting the other two kids know, hey, mom has a corn rake stuck in her back. We're headed to the hospital. Call me.
I thought about that too, because they were little. Well, what were they, 9 and Teresa, do you know how old they were?
9 and 11. But I for some reason I didn't think they were at the house still. I thought they were at the other property. Or was that they didn't stay at the other property, huh? I was trying to remember that while you guys were talking, but
nobody said anything. That's the thing that wasn't mentioned. Nobody's even asked where these other two children are.
well, they say that Todd wanted one of the cops, or Todd was talking to one of the cops about that his other kids were at home, but I don't remember them saying that the kids were home because they're not listed as people that were on like at the farm that day.
Well, yeah, but when Tristan testified, he said that the kids were in the house.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or maybe he didn't. Maybe I'm thinking that he testified about and answered questions regarding. No, he did say they were in the house,
Yeah,
but he also asked. Go ahead.
They asked what everybody was doing that morning.
Yeah. So they had to be there because there's no mention of them going anywhere when they're going through the day. So
maybe the kids just assumed the parents and Tristan were still out at the farm.
Yeah, like did he hang up with 911 and call like a family member to go get the kids? Because what's odd to me is I just don't understand why. I understand the initial shock and the immediate need to want to get Amy help. That part I get. I totally get it. But I don't understand not even just, popping your head into the door and yelling to the other children, hey, mom's got a corn rake stuck on her back. We got to run to the hospital real quick. You know what I mean?
I'm trying to remember if they bring that up when Todd testifies because I actually don't remember. So I wonder if they do talk about it when he's up on the stand.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how that goes. But Molson Man's question made me think about that. There's like a gigantic hole thus far. I'm sure they'll fill it in, but I'm just kind of curious. Okay, let me push play or we're never going to get through this. Sorry for my long tangents.
Oh, Paula said he did call his mom.
Okay.
Deputy, have you seen that item before today?
Yes.
And where have you seen that item before today?
This was the corn rake we retrieved from the shed at the Mullis farm.
How do you know that is the same corn rake you retrieved from the shed at the Mullis farm?
It's tagged and it has a broken handle.
And it's now currently covered with your DNA and handprints.
At the state medical examiner's office, has this corn rake remained in evidence at the Delaware County Sheriff's Department until this very moment?
Yes, it has.
Does the corn rake appear to be in the same condition as it is when you first collected it back on November 10th, 2018?
Yes, it does.
Your Honor, at this time, I would offer State's Exhibit number 23 into evidence.
Any objection? No objection, Your Honor. 23 is admitted.
Permission to publish, Your Honor?
You can display it. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, perfect. Now we have snot and other DNA. Oh, extra DNA. Perfect.
I don't know why he didn't leave Tristan at home and threw the mom on top of Tristan.
Yeah, that's not that part is not confusing to me. It's the part where they don't tell the other kids they're leaving that's confusing.
Would a person be able to inflict death or serious injury on another person with that corn rake if they chose to do so?
Yes, they would.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Cross-examination.
I know, Allie. Bless his little heart.
Deputy Holub, did you know Todd Mullis prior to this day?
I may have met him before, but I don't know him personally, no.
You weren't familiar enough to know what his personality was like, whether he was quiet or bubbly or that kind of thing?
No, I don't know him that well.
No, we don't cool like that. Okay, cool.
The county attorney asked you about his demeanor, the way he was acting. You said he acted kind of excited and hard time staying focused. Is that correct?
Yes.
In your years of experience, you've, I'm sure, encountered people who are dealing with a rather traumatic event.
Yes.
Car accidents, fires, all kinds of things.
Yes.
Do people always react the same way?
No.
Have you seen people react to a horrible situation in what some people might consider an inappropriate way? Laughing at the wrong time?
I haven't seen laughing at something that's tragic, no.
Todd wasn't laughing that day.
No.
But he wanted someone to take care of his kids.
Correct.
About what time of the afternoon do you think you got back to the Mullis farm with Deputy Thompson and eventually Tristan to look in the shed?
We pulled into the drive there at about 12:31 p.m.
I think one of your later responses to a later exhibit may have answered my question, but in exhibit number 6 was the one with 2 drops of blood on the concrete, and you had the ruler there, and you said that blood drops were about at inch number 1 and inch number 4.
Yes.
Later on, I think it's number 22. Is that the same towel?
Yes.
So 22
He's
shows
even
where in
slow
the
on
shed
spit up.
the towel was located, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
And please look at 21 also. Once again, is that the towel?
Yes.
And actually, there's 2 things there, a towel and a rag.
Yes.
In number 21, to the left would be you can see a crack, that would be that sliding door that you couldn't move.
To the left there with the door, yes.
And is the alleyway down to the pet carrier beyond that second rag?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I think he wants to be as far away from the DNA, other people's DNA covered corn rake as he can be at this point. I wouldn't go near that officer either.
Do you have an estimate as to what time you would have got back to the hospital after being at the Mullis farm?
It took me about 16 minutes to get there.
And I think you also mentioned that you had taken not only the corn fork, number 23, but also you said Tristan's trousers?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you take those?
I wanted to present that to the hospital. Maybe they could figure out how much blood loss there was.
But soon after you returned to the hospital, based on Dr. Thompson's observations and comments, there was a concern about how Amy Mullis had gotten these injuries.
Yes.
Would you say at that time things shifted from investigating a farm accident to perhaps foul play?
Yes.
And at that time, you bagged the corn rake and put it back in your car to keep it evidence?
It was, yes, it was driven right back from the hospital to our evidence room, yes.
Was it bagged from the farm to the hospital?
No.
Okay.
Nobody's worse, Max 2002 or Hope. Nobody. No, nobody's worse than Chazzle Dazzles. At least this guy's attempting to cross-examine.
Between that either involved you or others that you're aware of about returning to the farm to do further investigation now that there was a suspicion of foul play?
Can you say that one more time?
After you went back with corn fork to the hospital and Dr. Thompson looked at it,
It was Molson, man. He opened it.
Any discussion that you were involved in, or are you aware of anybody else's discussion about returning to the farm to do further investigation now that foul play may be suspected?
I went back. I should say that our sheriff and Deputy Thompson did an interview with Todd at our sheriff's office.
No, it was
And after
bagged.
they had convened,
He opened
the
it.
sheriff said that he had given them permission that I could go back and take a couple more pictures at the shed there.
On the return trip, did you take more photos?
Yes.
Were they included in what we've seen so far?
Yes.
Did you do that on your own?
Yes.
Was there any other investigation made around the shed by you or other law enforcement?
There would have been by other law enforcement after I took those pictures.
Do you know when?
I'm not sure.
And by whom?
Travis Hemeseth.
At least in Chazzle Dazzle, they were
But you don't
very
think Kevin
careful
Sass
with
went
the
out there that day?
evidence.
Well, yeah,
Not that I'm aware of.
they should have been careful, and that handle should never have been sticking out. They should have
At
used
the
another
hospital.
bag.
Did you see Tristan return?
To the hospital?
Yes.
I don't recall seeing him there.
Was there any photographs taken other than the front door of the shed that we've seen? Were there any other photographs taken on the outside of the building?
None that I had taken.
And no visual exam, a walk around or anything like that?
I did not do that, no.
You know if Deputy Thompson would have done that?
I'm not sure if he did or not.
Thank you, Deputy. That's all I have.
Okay.
Any redirect?
Just briefly, Deputy, with any of your conversations that you had with the defendant, did he ever mention the possibility that anybody else would have killed his wife?
No.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Molson man. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt again. Okay, hold on. Let me stop sharing. All right. So next up, we have the ER doctor. But while I'm working on getting that, what do you girls think so far?
I think the chat has some very good observations.
I
And
agree.
that's why I said that about his lawyer. Because if you listen to his questions, that's why I wonder what he's thinking. Because he asks a lot about Tristan.
Yeah, which makes, okay, that can go either way. Because think about it. One, the only two witnesses in this case were Tristan and Todd. So it would make sense that he would ask a lot of questions about Tristan. I think that some of the questions he asked, especially on this last detective with the cross-examination, were more to establish that how can you be judging anybody because nobody was crying, meaning Tristan wasn't crying and Todd wasn't crying. So maybe they're just not criers, which is, I think, what the defense was trying to
That's how I
show.
took it too.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay,
I guess now I'm more curious about where these other two kids are, because why would they not be suspects then?
Or potential witnesses?
Yeah, they would. My gut tells me they weren't there that morning. They were gone and they were coming home later, but I don't know.
Okay,
see,
so
I thought Tristan said they were watching movies on their Kindles
that day.
This is what I thought happened.
Maybe not.
This is what I thought happened. I thought that Tristan and Todd had gone and run some type of farm related errand. They came back and they ate the breakfast that Amy had cooked for them, and then Tristan and Todd went outside, and they were followed by Amy, and the two other kids were inside. I think they were watching a movie or playing on their tablets of some sort. But I think what we should do is put a little pin in this, and I will go back and listen to Tristan's testimony, and if I can nail it down, then I will clip it and play it again so we can know for sure.
Okay.
Because it is interesting. And here's the thing. They're 9 and 11. Okay. And it's not that I don't think that 9 and 11-year-olds can be left alone. This is the part of the story that has a hole for me, and I need it to be answered. It's once they decided to load Amy into the truck. This is the thing. Tristan is the one that went to get the truck. Okay. He brought it to his dad and they loaded her in the truck. My only question is, why did they not stop in the house and let the other kids know where they were going?
I don't think the kids were there.
I know. So we've got to resolve that. If they weren't there, then it makes sense that they wouldn't poke their head in the house and be like, who are you telling? An empty house, the stove, the microwave? No, I mean, I get it, but I can't remember specifically. And now it's going to bother me.
All right. We'll have to figure it out.
We're going to this will be solved. But before we do that, we're going to watch the ER doctor. Now, I want to give everybody a warning. There are photographs in this testimony. Okay. They're very limited. They're not, but they're not graphic. They're of her hands and behind her ears. And I think there's a couple of like her back, just a few. And they're not that bad, but I just want you to, but if you have any hesitations, this is your trigger warning. And please like exit the stream. Although I don't want you to, but they're real quick. All right. Let me make this the right way. All right, here we go. Let me also. Oh, I muted
State
it.
your name and spell it for the record, please.
Craig Borden Thompson. That's Craig, B as in boy, Orden, Thompson, Thompson.
Go ahead, counsel.
Dr. Thompson, you indicated that you're a doctor. Who are
Yes,
you
ma'am.
currently employed by?
Regional Medical Center in Manchester, Iowa.
And Dr. Thompson, in what area do you live in?
I live in Strawberry Point area.
And is that also the area you grew up in?
I grew up in the Monticello area.
Now, you indicated that you are employed at Regional Medical Center in Manchester. What is your title there?
Medical Director of Emergency Services.
How long have you been employed there?
I've been in practice in the area. I've been employed by the hospital for the last 10 years. I've been in practice there for 40 years.
Where did you attend school to get your degree?
I attended Monticello High School. I went to University of Dubuque. I went to College of Osteopathic Medicine and Surgery in Des Moines and did a year rotating internship, following which I went to Strawberry Point.
And you indicated that your title is medical director.
That's correct.
In what area of the hospital do you work in?
Emergency services exclusively.
And what are some of your duties being the medical director at Regional Medical?
I'm responsible for EMS services based at the hospital and throughout the service area. I, along with the other medical staff, paramedic staff, oversee the quality of care of that and oversee the providers in the emergency department.
Are you also a medical examiner for Clayton County?
I am.
And how long have you been, are you the chief medical examiner?
I am the chief medical examiner for Clayton County.
And how long have you been the chief medical examiner for Clayton County?
Since 1990.
And prior to that, were you a deputy medical examiner?
Yes, I was deputy medical examiner for Clayton County and also Delaware County, where I still remain on the deputy list.
And you indicated that you are now the chief medical examiner for Clayton County. Are you also allowed to act as medical examiner when you're working in Delaware County?
That's permitted, yes, by Iowa code.
And what are some of your duties being the chief medical examiner?
When there's an unattended death in your county, then that typically requires screening to see if it's a medical examiner case. And there are certain criteria set by the Code of Iowa that establish that.
Now, Dr. Thompson, I'd like to direct your attention to November 10th, 2018. On that date, were you employed by Regional Medical Center in Manchester, Iowa?
I was.
And that's in Delaware County?
Correct.
And initially, were you scheduled to work that day?
Actually, I wasn't scheduled to work, but there was an illness and the overnight provider, or the one actually showing up the next day. And so I was called as the safety net. The day provider wondered if I would come in early, so I said, sure.
As you were on your way into the hospital, what, if anything, did you learn?
Shortly after arrival at the hospital, I understood that Amy Mullis had been pronounced dead.
And at that point, when you learned that Amy Mullis had been pronounced dead, did you have any additional information?
I talked with Dr. Gerst, who was the backup physician and deputy medical examiner for the weekend for Delaware County. and he had obtained a history of events that he related to me.
And can you please explain Dr. Gerst, or I'm sorry, spell Dr. Gerst's last name?
Sure. Gerst.
And what information did Dr. Gerst relay to you?
He indicated that he had been told that she had fallen, that Amy had been injured falling on a corn rake that was upended, and that she was found that way, and that it was removed, and she was brought in by a private vehicle initially, who tiered with EMS, and they then proceeded to start resuscitative efforts.
Now, doctor, did you know Amy Mullis?
I knew her as a nurse in the emergency department in that capacity.
At some point, did Amy Mullis work at Regional Medical Hospital in Manchester?
Yes.
And did she ever work in the emergency room?
Yes.
Do you know when Amy stopped working at Regional Medical Center?
2014.
And since 2014, when she stopped working there, did you have any contact with Amy Mullis?
No.
Doctor, when you first received this information, what did you do after you received it?
Well, there was concern regarding the mechanism of injury and to make sure that the findings on physical exam were compatible with that history.
Would it be fair to say that you performed a preliminary exam?
Exactly.
And what was the purpose of that preliminary exam?
Well, it was to look at the mechanism of injury and then determine the actual injury pattern on the decedent and see if that was a logical conclusion.
And can you just explain briefly to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what you do when you're performing an exam like you did on that day?
We, well, in this case, the patient was already disrobed. So as part of resuscitative efforts to look for wounds in emergency medicine, you're always wanting to make sure you're not missing something in the resuscitation. At this point, that was concluded. So I did a complete exam of the body, looking at the head and neck and extremities, the entire body, front and back.
And after you did that preliminary exam, what did you do?
I took pictures of the body at that point.
Now, while you're performing this exam, what is your main focus that you're trying to do when you're performing an exam such as this?
Well, your primary goal is, we always try and determine cause of death. We do that whether it's a medical examiner's case or not. The secondary thing, though, is to make sure that if we're presuming it's accidental, if that's the story we're hearing, that the injury matches the story.
Now, doctor, in this case, did you also take pictures of both Amy Mullis's body as well as the clothing that was she was brought in with?
I did.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Doctor, I'm showing you state's exhibits 24 through 48. Can you please look through those as a whole?
Surely. Those appear to be my pictures.
And Dr. Thompson, are those the photographs that you actually took on November 10th, 2018 of Amy Mullis and the clothing that was brought in with her?
Those appear to be, yes.
And do they appear to be in the same or substantially the same condition as they were that day when you took them?
Yes.
And do they appear to be true and accurate copies of those photographs?
They appear to be.
Doctor, did you notice any or observe any injuries on Amy?
Well, notably, she had 6 puncture wounds across the back.
And did that cause you concern?
It got my attention, certainly, to look at the point of entry, how that would have occurred. I was interested in looking at the instrument that she fell on.
Doctor, did you, did you also observe additional injuries on Amy's body as well?
There were basically 2 sets of injuries. There were the puncture wounds to the right posterior thorax, the right posterior chest, and there were then injuries anteriorly in the chin area, in the zygomatic area, which is the cheekbone area, around the ear on the left, and over both patella, the kneecaps. And there was also some contusions, abrasions over the dorsum of each hand, the knuckles of each hand.
Your Honor, at this time, I would ask that the state's exhibits 24 through 48 be admitted into evidence.
Any objection? Your Honor, thank you. 24 through 48 are admitted.
Your Honor, at this time, I would ask permission to publish these photos to the jury.
Yeah, I'll allow you to publish those. Anybody who is family or friends who have not seen these photos and don't care to see them or don't think they'll be able to see them, I'll give you a minute if you want to leave the courtroom. After anybody has had a chance to leave council, you're welcome to publish the photos.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Dr. Thompson, I'm showing you has been previously admitted into evidence as Exhibit 24. What is this a photograph of?
This is a photograph of Amy Mullis after resuscitative efforts had concluded.
And you talked about some injuries on Amy's body. I'm showing you People's Exhibit number 25. What is this a photograph of?
These are abrasions over the dorsum of the left hand.
And when you say abrasions, is that those two red marks that are on Amy's left hand?
Yes, and there's a contusion near the base of the ring finger as well.
That one looks like a heart.
What's a contusion?
A bruise.
And what's an abrasion?
Abrasion is a roughening or a scraping of the skin, a frictional injury.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit number 26. Is that a close-up of that left hand and those
Oh, yeah.
abrasions that you previously described?
I believe so.
I'm going to show you, or this is State's Exhibit number 24. What is this a photograph of? I'm sorry, 27. What is this a photograph of?
This shows contusions. We're talking about bruises about the earring on the left earlobe. It shows a pattern that the earring itself has caused contusion in the surrounding tissue.
State's Exhibit 28. What is that a photograph of?
That's another angle of the same thing, plus a contusion on the top of the earlobe or the auricle itself near the other piece of jewelry.
So just so we're clear, you see the white earring at the bottom of the ear?
Correct.
And there is what appears to be a contusion above that.
Correct. Above it and under it, as you saw in the other picture.
And then all the way to the right, I guess on the top, near the top of the ear, there's also some additional injuries there.
Correct.
And you called that, is that, I'm sorry, a contusion or an abrasion?
It looks like a combination of both.
Thank you. State's Exhibit number 29. What is this a photograph of?
This was the jeans she was wearing that day.
State's Exhibit number 30.
That was her outer coat.
And State's Exhibit number 31.
That's the outer coat reflecting the puncture wounds.
And there appears to be some type of measuring guide or what appears to be a ruler on this jacket.
It's a rough idea of the puncture wound distances. It's always a little hard to piece back together after the fact, no matter how carefully you try and take the picture.
And are you the one that actually placed these white pieces of paper or
Yes.
measuring tape? People's Exhibit number 32. What is this a photograph of?
This appears to be the exterior coat, yet the inside view.
And State's Exhibit number 33. What is this a photograph of?
This is a close-up of Amy, still intubated after resuscitative attempts.
Now here, there appears to be something on Amy's left jaw.
Yes, a very prominent, I considered it the next most significant injury after the puncture wounds in the back.
And what is this on Amy's left jaw?
This is a deep abrasion contusion. There's both a crush type component and a scraping type component to it. And the other thing that I think is notable is it's clean.
And what does that mean to you?
Well, typically if you fall on a ground or rock or gravel, you're going to have indented or embedded gravel and foreign body in that. And in another view, I think you have that in your deck. It shows that there is none of that, and that was not cleaned off.
Now, when you say this is both an abrasion and a contusion, would it be fair to say that that means that it's a bruise and it's also some type of ripping or tearing on the skin?
Correct.
And I think you indicated earlier that an abrasion is almost like friction on the skin.
A frictional injury. Mm-hmm.
Is that almost similar to like a rug burn?
This would be a very bad one. Yeah.
State's Exhibit number 34. What is this a photograph of?
This is an inner garment sweatshirt that was under the outer coat. I was told they were off by the time I got there. This also reflects a puncture wound pattern consistent with the exterior coat.
And State's Exhibit number 35. What was
The
this?
third layer of the t-shirt, again with the puncture wounds.
And State's Exhibit number 36. Is this a close-up picture of that
Yes.
same shirt? And again, did you put that measuring guide on?
I did.
State's Exhibit number 37. Is this a different angle of that contusion and abrasion on Amy's left chin?
It's a more direct close-up and slightly a little more direct on, so you can actually see the two components, the deeper bruise abrasion and the stippling a little more posterior there, the lighter abrasion portion.
What do you mean by posterior?
I'm sorry, toward the back of your jaw. Sorry.
State's Exhibit number 38. What is this a photograph of?
This appears to be the right patellar area, the right kneecap area.
And what is it that you see here on this kneecap area?
That's a contusion, minimal abrasion.
And State's Exhibit number 39.
This is the left knee area. You'll see the yellow object is an interosseous needle. If it's difficult to get IV access and you need it in a hurry, it's a drilling-like device that we go into the bone marrow with, gives us instant access. When we pronounce a code, any resuscitative efforts, any instruments, tubes, things that we put in the body, we leave in place for the autopsy to follow.
That was her knee.
That also reflects, you can see the contusion.
Yeah, her left.
Abrasion portion.
Yeah, that's what the
that
patella
kneecap
is,
area.
babe. Your knee.
And in this abrasion, do you see any pieces of gravel or any dirt?
Not that I could recognize.
I'm showing you State's Exhibit number 40. What is this a photograph of?
This is her back. Puncture wound pattern of her back.
And how many puncture wounds did you find on Amy Mullis's body?
She had 6 puncture wounds.
And just so we're clear, when you're referring to puncture wounds, that is different than the contusions and abrasions.
And none of the others were puncture wounds.
And what is a puncture wound?
It is a hole forced through tissue caused by, it can be any number of things, a sharp object, a projectile. It penetrates a given distance and causes a more linear injury.
Dr. Thompson, did you grow up on a farm yourself?
I did.
Were you familiar with a corn rake or corn fork when you were performing this exam?
I've had occasion to use them, yeah.
And were you aware of how many tines or prongs there were on a corn rake?
Well, yes, and I also asked to see the rake that day.
And
because there can be differing tines.
And what was the purpose of you asking to see that corn fork or corn rake?
That was the instrument of injury. I had to make sure that made sense. The tine pattern on that was consistent with 6 puncture wounds in the posterior thorax, your right chest.
I'm going to show you People's Exhibit number 41. What is this a photograph of?
That appears to be Amy's right hand, and contusions noted about the knuckle joints, the MCP joints.
And State's Exhibit number 42.
Her right hand also showing some, in this angle, I can't tell if that's bleeding from other source, just not cleaned, or an abrasion.
And that's her palm.
That's her palm.
State's Exhibit number 43. What is this a photograph of?
This shows the left side of Amy's jaw and cheekbone area and her ear. It gives you an angle on both the chin injury and also the contusions about the ear. You can see a little contusion in the zygomatic area too in this picture.
What's the zygomatic area?
I indicated, I'm sorry, the cheekbone area is the zygomatic process.
Thank you. And State's Exhibit number 44, is this another angle of her ear injuries that you've
Sure,
previously?
different lighting to highlight it differently.
And
the
State's
same.
Exhibit 45, this is the back of that same ear.
Yes, with the left ear again, it just shows it a little more, the lighting was more favorable.
And State's Exhibit number 46 is another photograph of Amy's jaw injury.
Yes, notably it's under the mandible.
What do you mean by mandible?
Jawbone. Sorry, I got to decode everything. And it's, it was oriented, if you can see in the pictures, I'm indicating under the jawline, from starting point back.
State's Exhibit 47. Is this another photograph of, I believe, her right hand that we previously saw?
Different lighting, yeah. Sometimes, even with digital photographs, if you change the lighting, it will appear different, so you do it a couple of times.
And in this photograph, what injuries do you see on Amy's right hand?
Again, the contusion about the knuckle there on the ring finger, or excuse me, index finger. And there's one near between the third and fourth, the middle and ring finger on that hand.
And lastly, State's Exhibit 48. Is this just another photograph?
Another view, same thing.
Now, at the time where you were performing this exam, Dr. Thompson, was the information that you were given was that it was alleged that Amy fell on the corn rake?
That's what I was told.
And were the injuries that you observed consistent with an accident or falling on a corn rake?
I found it very difficult to see how 4 tines could cause 6 holes in a single impact.
Now, you indicated that at some point you actually asked to see the corn rake or corn fork.
I did.
And who did you ask to see that?
I asked the sheriff's department if they had that available, and they did.
And where did you go to view that corn fork?
In the ambulance garage across from the emergency department.
And what did you do when you were observing it?
I looked at the tines size. I looked at the spacing. I looked at what appeared to be on the tines.
And did that, and how many tines were there?
There were 4 tines.
And that was inconsistent with Amy's 6 puncture wounds.
With a single impact, it was.
Did you contact anyone after you were done performing your exam?
I contacted the state medical examiner's office.
And who did you speak with at the state medical examiner's office?
Dr. Kelly Cruz was on.
What was the purpose of contacting Dr. Cruz?
Well, presently, if you need more data in an injury like this, you contact a forensic pathologist. I am not one. I have background in medical examiner work, but I need at times more data than that. So I talked to Dr. Cruz, who's a forensic pathologist, and asked her to do an autopsy in the interest of getting more information.
And what is the procedure that is used then to transport the body to the state medical examiner's office?
I have to ensure that everything is appropriately sent with the patient, stored appropriately, identified and secured appropriately, chain of custody sort of thing. And then we also cover the hands with paper bags to keep any evidence that might be evident later intact.
Now, a moment ago, doctor, you indicated that one of your duties might be as medical examiner determining cause and manner of death.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by What do you mean by cause of death?
Cause of death would be was it suspicious? Was it accidental? Was it natural? Was it, for example, a car accident's accidental? If you determine though that the person deliberately crossed the road to hit the semi to commit suicide, that's a different story. So sometimes just looking at things doesn't tell you the whole story without knowing more about it.
And on November 10th, 2018, did you determine a cause of death?
I did not.
Did you indicate on your paperwork, or what did you indicate on your paperwork?
In a setting where I think I have conflicting data, I'm being told one thing and the physical evidence is another thing. That's when I seek the consult with the state. And I probably do that more than I don't do that on certainly on anything of an injury of this kind. And I contacted Dr. Cruz then too.
And was your cause of death on your paperwork, did you indicate pending?
Pending.
And that was because you wanted to wait for Dr. Cruz to perform a full exam on the
We
body.
needed the results of the autopsy and toxicology and so forth.
I have nothing further. Thank you.
Cross-examination.
Well, answer the judge, sir. All I know for, I don't believe this could have taken place in 30 to 40 seconds. No.
Of Amy's body, and also some photographs of the clothing. I think at one point you said something about you yourself had not removed that clothing.
I had not removed that clothing. It was gone when I got there.
Do you know when it was removed?
After her arrival there, it indicated that's part of a standard resuscitative effort.
Now, I will say I would have thought the clothing
Please
would have
take a
been
look
cut,
at State's Exhibit 46.
but it appears to be intact, which is interesting.
Yes, I have it.
That's the mandible or jawline injury.
Correct.
In your training and experience, is there any way to determine what caused that injury?
It's blunt force injury. And when you think about it, I've seen hundreds, if not thousands of people who have fallen on their face, fallen on their jaw. It's typically a more front approach injury, more anterior injury, as we'd call it. There's often abrasions elsewhere, not just there, but up on the cheek. If it's more nasal, they'll have a scrape on their nose. There's usually more than just a hit along the jaw when you have that kind of injury. Additionally, this seemed, in the pictures you can see it, it was oriented vertically. In other words, it was this way. It wasn't this way as a mechanism of injury. Could you do that falling down? Conceivably, if you were fully extended and fell forward. Again, I didn't see any evidence of gravel or other foreign body in that wound, which I would have expected because I've seen lots of gravel burns through the years. Road rash.
Doctor, what's coming to my mind as you describe this is it's kind of like in the cowboy and western movies where someone comes up and kicks from underneath if someone was down and catches them under the chin. Would that be the type of blow that would cause that kind of injury?
That could be one.
But looking at the injury itself, there's no way to determine whether that was done with a fist, a foot, a 2x4, a piece of pipe.
It's blunt force. You could have a sufficient imprint pattern with any of those things to give you that pattern.
Okay. Please look at Exhibit 40. I believe you described that as the puncture pattern on her back.
Correct.
Did you do any specific examination of the diameter or sizes of those puncture wounds?
I deferred that because I knew I was going to have Dr. Cruz do a detailed analysis as well as the spine, the track that each spine would have taken. That has to be done internally. At this point in a preliminary exam, I have to be very careful I don't cause artifact. In other words, I cause injury to the body that makes it confusing to the pathologist doing the autopsy. You make channel where it shouldn't be. You make the wound look more complicated. So I avoided that carefully.
So you couldn't then, nor are you prepared to now to say that there's a difference in those puncture wounds themselves?
Well, visually there is.
Okay. Different sizes.
Different sizes, oval and less oval.
Okay.
Smaller, larger.
Well, let me ask you, is it a fair question to ask you if all those wounds are made by the same object?
Well, you look at the tines on that corn rake, it has differing dimensions from the point to the shaft to deep down the shaft. That will give you a different wound imprint depending on how deep the corn rake goes.
Thank you, doctor.
Any redirect for him? Okay, thank you, sir. You're free to go.
Wow. Okay. That was a lot.
That's a lot.
Like a lot of things to think about.
Is there any way you can, I don't know if you can just pull up just the picture of her back, or if you want it, can you rewind that to get to just that picture of her back?
I can, but I won't. Just kidding. I will. Hold on. Can you imagine if I was like that, though?
I know people like that.
I do too. But I'm not like
paid
that.
attention the first time.
Yeah, you should have been watching.
Yeah, you should have. All right, hold on. Let me rewind it real quick.
I don't understand the jaw bruise.
Wait, hold on.
Well, she was found face down.
Right. But why wouldn't it have any debris in it?
I just had it. Come on.
Oh.
Hold on.
Because that floor had to be filthy.
Hey, but I don't know. I don't know.
I don't either.
I mean,
I can see her falling on her chin and doing that to her ear, but the debris is confusing.
this is what I think. I don't think this was an accident. That part I agree with. And I think most everybody agrees this wasn't an accident due to first of all, that jaw injury looks like she got chin checked.
Right.
Okay. And then
also, how do you fall on a rake and end up face down?
Well, how do you fall on a rake on a corn rake with 4 tines and you have 6 puncture wounds? You would have had to fall twice.
Right.
So, okay. So I know I'm going to probably be the lesser of everybody, but I just think it's a freak accident. I think that, and I need to know more about the corn rake again, because I got to go back in my memory, but it's like she hits it, like she's dizzy, and she like bumps up against it. So she gets like the ones that aren't deep. Right.
Right.
So she's like, ah, crap. And then she like goes to like get away. It falls, she falls, and then she impales herself on it. She's not dead. So it's not unheard of that she would turn over and try to like stand up, like push herself up with her hands.
Right.
And then she collapses.
Yeah. I actually thought of that too. But that jaw bruise throws me for a loop with that theory.
There are the injuries.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, I can't rule out accident. It seems to me like one of those really weird, like freak things that just, it just happened.
Okay, but here's my thing. So if that's the way that it happened, then the deep penetrating wounds had to have happened first, and then the more shallow wounds had to have happened second, right? That's what you're thinking?
No, I was thinking opposite. But why are you thinking that? Because I'm not opposed
Yeah,
to
I
it.
was thinking the opposite too.
Because that's the only way it makes sense.
Well,
Well, no,
actually, I'm
just
thinking that
hanging.
the light ones are like she falls against it,
Oh, if it's hanging,
and
okay.
then it falls and she falls on top of it and impales herself, which is the deep ones. She's still not dead, so she turns over to get up, but collapses down on her face.
Right, but I think that they question where the rake was. And I think he says he just threw it in there. Or I don't remember. We'll have to hear what he says. But I don't know if
I
it's
need to
hanging.
remember more about the actual corn rake itself and the positioning and everything. But she's bumping through this little tight space. She's dizzy, and she just.
I need a better, more clear picture of where exactly she was. Because if she were standing on a bucket, and it is not a wide area, what could she have hit her chin on underneath the chin? You know what it looks like? It looks like an injury that a kid would get if they were to climb up on top of a wet counter and they slip and they check their chin at the bottom. That is that mark is from a downward.
Like she hit her chin.
She hit her chin, but I'm wondering if she if she busted her chin on some type of railing or something that was in between, her and the ground. That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Now, but I need to know. Well, obviously I don't even know what I was thinking with the deep ones. The deep ones had to have come second because it was stuck in her back.
Yeah, that's my thought. And that's what made it so she was just not able to do anything.
Right.
And she just collapses back down, like, straight down, hits her face on maybe something, maybe not the ground, just on something that's there.
Right. Because where she was and what she was doing was cleaning lights, right?
No, she had left that and went into the red barn.
And what was she doing in the red barn?
She went to get the pet carrier.
I'm going to have to hold on a second. All right.
She was on the bucket in the big white barn cleaning the lights and she got dizzy. So they told her to go get the pet carrier, which was in the red building.
Okay. See, now I'm even now.
Yeah, I don't know how high up the pet carrier was.
It's
it
not.
It's not that high up.
It's not about how high up the pet carrier was. It was about how high up she was. You have to have some force to be able to come down that hard, and you don't come down that hard from being dizzy. When you're dizzy and you go to faint, normally you rotate. So that you end up, most people when they faint, they don't faint and fall on their face. They faint and they fall on their back when they're standing up. I don't know why, that's just the way it is. So how then, if that's what occurred, that can't have been what happened. Because if that's what happened, she would have, you don't faint falling forward. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I can't think of a single person that I've ever seen faint that has fainted and fallen on their face. Ever.
Well, yeah, that's why I was asking how high up the carrier was, because if she had to step on something to get to the carrier,
right,
she could have fallen forward.
Right.
But then she would have fell backwards onto the...
Correct. What I'm not understanding and what's not been explained thus far is the chin injury. That is a forward motion injury. If
and it has scratches in it.
Like she fell on a board, like
Well, there's also all those metal like pallet grate things that are all packed in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get. I know Shmee had downloaded a bunch of pictures, so for sure, not tomorrow night, because tomorrow night I'm gonna do the whatever happened to, because Teresa's off at school tomorrow, and I don't want to go ahead without her, so we'll pick it up on Friday. But I'm gonna have to get a better look at exactly where this happened and what was around her when this happened because the way that chin injury, I'm not going to lie, it has me stumped.
Right. And I also, Allie, would like to know her height, her son's height, and Todd's height. Because see how high up those are?
Mm-hmm.
That would make a difference if somebody did it to her.
Are we doing the forensic pathologist next?
Next is, hold on, I just pulled it up.
Because she goes more into each of these wounds and how deep they are, and
I'm gonna need that definitely.
No, that's not until
who's next?
Next is Terry Stanner, which I think is her friend, and then it just says witness testimony, and then is Jerry Frazier, which is who she was having an affair with.
Okay.
He's sus to me too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The forensic, I don't think is until. Okay, we did that 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 more clips. I don't know how long these clips are, though.
All right. Normally, I would say let's present it in the order that they testified. However, I think that since we've seen these pictures, the only the reasonable thing to do would be to hear the autopsy report.
You think? I like going in order. Because there's a reason they did it in this order.
Okay.
To me, maybe.
No, I mean it's fine. You've watched. I mean, you know better than me on this because you've watched it, and I don't.
Well, no, I haven't watched all this. A lot of it was left off of YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was so excited that Shmita found this. So next is her friend.
I understand that you think that there is a reason why they presented in this order, and that could be, but it could also very well be that the medical examiner is still working. They still do their job, and they may have had to wait because it was a scheduling issue.
Okay, well, I just looked. Her friend takes the stand next, and then after that, the forensic pathologist takes the stand.
Okay, that's what we need. Okay, perfect. So that makes sense.
Okay.
All right, that's how we'll do it.
So we're only one witness away from the pathologist.
I want to hear what her friend has to say too, only because I'm always curious what witnesses who are familiar, but I don't know how I don't need it's interesting to hear a witness that's familiar with the victim, but it's more interesting in a case like this, for me anyway, if the witness was familiar with both the victim and the defendant.
I agree. And look at her back. It is all bruised up. Or is that just blood pooling?
Hold on, let me switch views. Looks like pooling. It looks like both. It looks like around where the tines went in, it's bruised. You can see the contusion.
You can point with your pointer.
Oh, you can see? Mo, how can, if I'm doing it, I can't see that I'm doing it, you maniac. Okay, so you can see around here, you can see the bruising. But this part where it's white.
Yeah, that's pulling.
Yeah. Well.
But it had 4 prongs on it, right?
Uh-huh.
So if she was stabbed twice, she should have 8 puncture wounds. I only see 5.
There's 6 total. One of them you can't see here, I don't think. But I know that when the medical examiner, when she goes, or the forensic pathologist, she goes over it and she shows each one of them.
Oh, okay.
Well, they
didn't show that on the YouTube because they're not allowed to show this stuff on the YouTubes.
But the blood is pooled in the opposite direction. So this is not pooling. See where she's darker towards her shoulders?
Mhm.
That'd be the lividity. All the blood is pooling towards the lowest center of gravity. This is the absence of it. This means that they kept her on her front for quite some time. And then it'll go into, the rest of the process. I'm taking it off the screen now, but then it'll go into the rest of the process and all that. But this is because she's been laying on her front. Otherwise, it would be dark.
Right. I would just like to know how, because usually the first person to find the body is the first person of interest.
Yeah, if she had been.
So how'd they rule the son out?
Dead.
No, how did they rule the son out?
Well, I don't know because we haven't got to that part.
I don't know if
there's another cop that testifies. Where's he at? When do we hear him?
I think Mo's looking. Yeah, because
is that Travis?
I don't remember his name. I just remember some of the stuff he talks about.
Okay, hold on.
I'm really struggling with that chin thing. And let me just say this. Even if he testifies after Todd testifies. Two law enforcement's and I swear he looks like the same cop in. Okay, so they testify him is he testifying for the defense, or as after Todd Mullis has testified, the defense has rested and they're calling these other officers up, the state is, as a rebuttal?
Oh, I don't know. I would think Todd would be the last one. It just says law enforcement personnel take the stand. It doesn't say which one called him.
No, I'm almost positive he's a prosecution witness. If I remember correctly, which God only knows if I do, I think that Todd's the only witness for the defense.
Wonder why they have him after Todd then.
Because it's a rebuttal witness. They're up there to testify, rebutting what he just testified about.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But even if I don't believe that this was an accident, and I end up believing that it's a homicide, that doesn't mean that I believe that Todd committed the crime.
Well, I'm lying anyway. It just had a picture of Todd, but that's not when he testified.
Oh boy.
It said witness testimony and has a picture of him, but then I realized after the cops, he's actually on the stand. So, okay,
so they must be the last witnesses for the state. Then the state
I don't think the defense called anybody.
I think they only called him.
Todd. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll tell you then, yeah. Because this trial was only 5 days long.
That's very short.
Most of them, they do the forensic pathologist talks about the wounds in depth.
Yes.
And how far they go through and where they go and all that jazz.
Right. Yeah, because the doctor that just testified, although he has medical examiner experience, this is a little bit more complex and out of his depth. And that's not what he was there for. He was there to get the reports, take pictures, look at her himself, and then determine whether or not she needed to go to the to the medical examiner for autopsy.
Right.
Now, I will say they had to have been suspecting Todd from the very beginning because her clothes were not cut. And if you are in an emergency, life-threatening situation and you go to the ER and they're intubating you, they started a main line by her knee. So they typically would cut your clothes off because time is of the essence. And they didn't, which is interesting to me.
That the ambulance drivers didn't do that.
Nobody did it.
And I don't think she has any wounds to the back of her head, because I was thinking at first maybe somebody came in and hit her, knocked her in the back of the head where she fell forward, and then they stabbed her with the corn rake. But I haven't watched the pathologist, but I don't remember any wounds to the back.
I mean, I have seen a ton of slasher movies. Molson Man, back me up on this. Where are you, homeboy? I've seen a ton of slasher movies, a ton. And people in slasher movies die by all manner of objects. I've seen a curling iron. I have seen a pitchfork, a machete, the obvious things. But even in Final Destination, where the way that people die is in the most absurd, crazy, freak accidents ever. Have I seen? It's almost like she would have had to fall back first in order for this to make sense. And then somewhat lose her footing, get her footing a little bit better, but lose it again and fall back a second time in order for it to be impaled by the fork if it was hanging up. And then after she impaled herself with the fork, which is not even a fork, it's a rake, fall forward, meaning that the chin injury would be last in order for it to happen the way where it would be a freak accident.
Well, I almost think that she
Yes, it
bumps it
is.
while it's up and then falls on it while it's down, which is how she ends up impaled on it. And then she's not dead, so she rolls over to try to push herself up, but collapses.
Okay.
Right.
Now this is the thing that I'm curious about. And Molson Man, yes, it absolutely was. I knew you'd catch that. That movie, I remember when I watched that movie. That's the only movie that I was ever like, what the hell afterwards? Anyway, so completely off topic. I am patiently waiting for the forensic medical examiner to take the stand.
Well, that'll be Friday.
Right. Because I need to know more about these injuries. I need to, and not just her external injuries. I need to know what damage that fork did or that rake did.
Right.
Because it reminds me of the Dee Blanchard case. And why didn't she why wasn't there more noise made? Why didn't she scream more than once? Which is because when the first stab that he made, he punctured her lung and he severed her, and the next one was to sever her artery, so she wouldn't have been able to scream out.
Well, also, Todd says he can hear. Well, I guess tractor trailers you may be able to hear more than a scream. I don't know.
And that's the other thing, Paula. Why was it broken? Why would you keep a broken corn rake in the first place? It's broken.
Well, he didn't even buy that corn rake. He got it when he bought the property across the street.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is it's broken.
Right.
The advantage to the corn rake would be the length of the handle. So if the handle is broken, then it's unsafe and ineffective. So why keep it?
And it had to have already been broken, else they would have had to find the other piece of it, right?
Correct. Now I'm gonna have to take an even closer look at the handle of that, because a newly broken handle, the wood from where it broke looks different than a handle that's been broken a long time ago, because it's exposed to the air and the elements and it changes. So
I agree, Tony. It could have just been broken and they threw it in there.
Yeah, but this is the other thing. How did it hang up if the handle was broken?
I don't know. I don't know that it was hanging.
Is that it, Teresa? Isn't that the story that it was hanging up?
I in my mind, that's how I remember it. So that's why I need, but I don't want to go look it up or like jump ahead without you guys.
Aw.
So I'm hoping that I remember it correctly because that's how I remember it when I was doing this a few months back. So we're gonna find out together
Yeah.
how bad my memory is.
We're not gonna. No, that's listen. We talked
We gotta
about
wait
this.
till Friday.
We talked about this, Teresa. We're going to be half full of vodka.
Of vodka. Half full of vodka. The other half is
full
going
of
to be
vodka.
OJ.
That's right. Because
Did you do another poll? I didn't look.
I did the poll after the 911 call. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you did it after this.
I did
the
it.
Pictures.
No, I did it after the 911 call. So
Because I think the pictures are what got him convicted. I think that jaw is what got him convicted, really.
that's what I think too. The jaw and the number of holes.
Right.
I do. The number of holes is what I think got him convicted.
Mm-hmm. And I need to know
Well,
more.
actually, all of them. The hands, the knees, the jaw, the number of holes.
The other thing that's interesting to me are her hands. And the reason that they're interesting to me is because the majority of the bruising and the abrasions are to the tops of her hands. If you're falling, what's your first reaction?
They're underneath. You're going to catch
Correct.
Yeah.
You push your hands out. So how did she get those injuries? Now, when I looked at those pictures, I'm going to have to go through them again. But from what I could tell from this go round, they appeared to be fresh, meaning they appeared to have occurred that day. They were not old injuries.
I agree.
Yeah, but I also have an issue because she works on a farm and she's not like resting.
That's true. That's true.
Well, she had just had surgery, so she wasn't doing much until that day.
But that day she was.
I mean, it is possible that when she was cleaning the light fixtures, or because they're on both of her hands, that's the part that gets me. Whenever and Mo will tell you this, she's seen me, I will trip over air, literally. There could be nothing, and I will trip over air. Okay, and when I really get in, like when I have a lot on my mind, that's when I like to deep clean, and I have hurt my hands doing it, but I don't ever hurt hardly ever my left hand because I'm right-handed.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that. We need to know how those light fixtures are, because she could have hurt her hands taking those light fixtures off.
She could have, yes. So there's a lot of at this point, I'm still not listen, I'm not convinced that it wasn't an accident, although I am skeptical. But even if I don't believe that it's an accident, and I do believe that it is homicide, I do not think that at this point anyway, they haven't convinced me that anybody did it at this point.
I agree. I still have reasonable doubt.
And a lot of it has to do with the amount of time that there would have been to do this. The only way that this works as far as the timeline is if both the father and the son are lying.
Right. Or the son is just lying for the father?
Correct.
Or the father's lying for the son.
Correct.
Or we don't know where the damn two kids are.
Correct. See, these kids are wandering the farm watching cartoons. Who knows? It's just interesting. Usually when you injure your own hand, your own self by you know what I mean. I'm not clip that. You usually injure your dominant hand because that's the hand you use. That's why if you're a right-handed person, you wear your watch on your left hand so you don't chingale it up.
Right. And we have a psychic on our team, but I'm not going to say what she said until the end.
Oh, that's not fair.
You're mean, Mo.
Well, you can say it, but I didn't want to say it.
No, I'm
'cause
not
I
gonna.
didn't wanna-
I was
didn't
never
wanna-
gonna. I was never gonna say anything. I was gonna let her say it if she wanted to. I was never gonna say anything about it.
Well, now it has to be said at some point, at some time.
Exactly.
It will be said.
Mo
I
will
was
tell.
hoping she would come up and say it herself because she's excellent.
Mo is gonna tell it. I promise you. Bless Mo's heart. Unless it's like a secret, like an alibi, or you know what I'm saying. She just loves to share.
An alibi. Mo's just going to tell you how it is.
Yeah, exactly. Unless it's
I'm hoping Sam will share it herself.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad to know, Mo, that you will stand by the alibi, though.
You would not be able to nail her and isolate her alone in the kitchen during Thanksgiving.
You know what Jen Lou did, right, Mo? I do. I know what she did.
I sure do. Let me tell what you know. Let's
No,
compare
I'd say,
notes.
yeah, I know, but I'm not telling you.
I would be like, Mo who? I
But
don't
like,
know
yeah,
anybody
exactly.
named Mo.
What? I don't even know what you're talking about. What happened? I'd be like, nope, tell me.
There's lots of things I know that I haven't told.
No,
and you
that's
don't
what
know
I'm
it
saying.
because I haven't told it.
Well, obviously, you're a good secret keeper, but this is one of those. One of those things. Yeah, I get it. But my thing is,
I will tell this. She also thinks that Summer fell somewhere, and it wasn't murder. But that's all I'll say about that.
I just think that at this point, I have reasonable doubt. And I'm going to need the state to come with a heck of a lot more.
There's 4 big testimonies. There's the forensic pathologist. There's Todd's himself, Frazier's, and the other cop who's half cop, half forensic person.
You know who I wish was testifying? Frazier's wife.
Yeah, no kidding, right?
Right.
Where was she that day?
Where was she that day? Exactly. I have so many questions.
Because
the trial does not answer half of the questions. And I do remember this because I walked away when I was done with the trial and I was like, that is not over. There's so much more to the story. Like, where's the rest of the story?
Right. This is like one of those, what is that writer's name? She wrote the Sookie Stackhouse books and she wrote Midnight Texas or Midnight Texas. And she always has these bizarre non-ending endings.
Yeah, I don't like that. Don't give me a non-ending ending. I need some flipping closure.
Exactly.
And I don't have any with this case.
Exactly. Now, this is the other thing I'm wondering. If we're able to request the case files in this case.
I know, where the heck is Shamita? I can't believe she hasn't requested them yet.
Yeah, where is Shamita? But that's what I want to know. I'm curious because obviously
I'll request them tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. The defense or the prosecutor, I mean, they have the entire investigation, all the people they talked to, what they said, all the things, right? But that doesn't mean that the prosecution, when it comes time, is necessarily going to present the entire case file. And sometimes it's been my experience anyway, that there are things in that case file that explain other things. You know what I mean? You got a lot from it.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious because I would like to know where his wife was that day, Frazier's wife. And the reason I'm asking about that is because I think that whole exchange between Eileen Can't Hold Water and Todd is interesting. Why would, if you confront the person that you think is having an affair with your wife, in this situation, Jeffrey, and you get no satisfaction from his answer, why would you advise him to call his wife? What would that do other than cause trouble? The wife isn't going to have any answers.
Exactly. That's why I thought it was so weird that she
she's
said,
suspicious too.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like the stepmom was jealous of her.
Where the heck was the stepmom?
Where was everybody?
Yeah, where was everybody?
I need it on a map. Put it on the Google Earth with a timestamp so I know where all the people were. Calling the wife is a thing that a woman does. I understand sort of why the stepmother advised that, because that's a female thing to do. If you're with a guy and you find out he's married, what's the first thing you do? Other than if you're NK, which that is to break your SIM card and delete all of the texts. That's not rational behavior, okay? We're not asking what NK would do, but every other woman on the planet. If they found out they were with a married man, what would they do? They would call the wife. The man would do exactly what Todd did, which was to confront the husband. And then if you don't get satisfactory answers from them, from him, then you confront your wife and her Sancho together.
Right. But I would never tell my friend stepdaughter's husband to call a wife. It's just weird to me.
Let's be honest. If it was us and I suspected my husband of cheating, let me tell you what we would be doing. We would be following him in shifts, texting each other, stalking him out and finding out all the things. But we'd also be stalking the potential Sancha. That's what we would be doing.
Oh yeah, there would be so much more to this story if it was one of us.
Exactly.
We would have already had some deep dives into some social media. We would have known anything and everything we could about them. Where do they hang out? Where do they go? We would have had somebody stationed at the hospital with Uncle Jerry or whatever the hell his name is to see, okay, my wife said she's going there. Is she there? Yep. Nope, she's not here. All right, let's see. Oh,
we would be the
and
most
I want to know if
hilarious episode of Cheaters ever.
I want to know if the stepmom told Amy that he asked her this.
That's a good question.
Because I would be like, watch out, he's asking about an affair, and I told him to call the wife.
Well, see, there's also some interesting things about these two affairs that, from Todd's quote unquote perspective, that he testifies under oath to. I mean, now you have to believe that he's not committing perjury. So when we get there, we can talk more about it. But the way that he interprets the affairs and what was happening during this same time frame isn't necessarily the way that it's being presented so far.
That's interesting.
Correct.
Molson, man, you should be scared. We're more equipped than the CIA.
Oh yeah, I don't fuck around like that. I think you're cheating on me. I'm gonna figure it out.
Exactly. And I'm going to present the evidence. Oh, you're not cheating? Well, what's this? Exhibit A.
See, I'm more of I don't want to know.
What happened? You tripped and fell? That's not how that works. Exhibit B. Text messages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It would never. It's just the whole dynamic is interesting for me.
Yeah. It's very weird. I don't know if she was more loyal to his dad, which she married. Or no, wait. Did she marry Amy's dad or his dad?
Amy's dad.
Amy's dad.
Well, then what the hell?
We're going to get this broken family stuff down for you, Mo.
Maybe she had a crush on Todd.
You want to
I don't know. It's just her response is weird.
Messaging her.
That's my point. Because she was not involved in the helping to take care of the kiddos while Amy was helping out at the hospital. So why would she be in the loop on any level?
Maybe he was having an affair with her. No, I'm just kidding.
The only thing that the only thing that makes sense to me that he would do would be to verify a story. Meaning, shoot a text and say, "Did you? Hey, Amy said she or Amy was at the hospital," and just to verify, some random ass text about that.
Right.
Did she?
That would make sense.
How about this? Did she thinks she left her coat there? Did you see it?
I think she was jealous of Amy. That's my feeling.
I
mean, she went after Amy's dad.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. We definitely go down a lot of rabbit holes.
Oh, we sure could. We sure could.
In this case, but
we sure
could. We're not allowed to look into any of that.
Yeah, because I'm telling you right now, if we start getting into those rabbit holes, we're going to be back at how come there was just one single blue latex glove sitting on the top of the Watts refrigerator.
Oh yeah, we could do this forever.
We could really we'd be in trouble. We'd be making
I don't think she killed her, so I guess it's pointless, but it's still weird.
No, I don't think the stepmom had any. She had no motive.
What if she wanted Todd to herself?
Well, she should have probably framed somebody else other than Todd because, hello. I mean, maybe unless all to yourself means locked away from society in a prison, then mission accomplished.
Well, some women like that.
There are a lot of women who are like that. They prefer their men to be in prison because they know just exactly where the hell they are.
Mm-hmm. But they can't prove if they're getting cheated on.
No.
Right.
Especially if the man is Chris Watts. He just be denying everybody.
Well, he just hands out boxers. You get boxers, you get boxers.
Yeah.
Boxers for you.
And the air in Wisconsin is just so dry that you should really double up. You should first you need a layer of moisturizer. Right. First correct. You layer up with the lotion first, and then to seal in the moisture. A good old
dry skin.
How does everybody know this is what happened with Watts in prison? About all the boxers and the lotion.
Because there's an incident report because his buddy got in trouble for having items that he didn't have. He had not purchased himself in the commissary, and you were not allowed to buy or give items to any other prisoners, which dang well that's not true. I mean, that's what people are swapping smokes for petroleum jelly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was a troublemaker. He kept trying to sue everybody at the prison, the friend. And so they obviously
that's Dylan, Mo. That's Dylan.
He had no money.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, okay. Yeah.
So how did he get access to all of these lotions and petroleum jellies and chapsticks and all and then your clothes are assigned to you, like you get a certain amount. So they have your name on them because when they wash them, they give you back your same stuff.
Yeah.
So he had a pair of boxers that had Watts' name on them. So there's an actual prison incident report that lines out all of that.
And believe me, the memes just made themselves after that list of confiscated items.
They really did.
Well, yeah, I'd heard about all that, but then I didn't know how everybody knew about it.
Because
everybody's requesting all of his public records, and it's funny because different people request. Some people don't get them, some people get them, and some people get extra stuff. So, like, depending on who you end up getting that's processing your records request, you don't know what you're going to get in there.
Exactly, because most people were requesting his visitor logs.
Yep.
And then they would end up getting these random things, a bonus. Which kind of makes you wonder because, if you're requesting the prison records, it is public information. You have a right to it. But it's interesting how it's not, what you receive is not uniform across the board. I mean, and you do get these bonuses. It always makes me wonder if they don't do that intentionally so that somebody will leak this stuff on Chris.
Right. Well, Chris only bought this guy this stuff because he felt bad for him, and the guy needed stuff because he had dry skin, and he couldn't afford to get it himself, and he didn't have any clean boxers, so Chris lent him a pair.
Right.
It was all just out of Chris being a really good guy. I mean, he's a real nice guy. So
you guys, what you have to understand is, you guys, God, I'm so sick of that. I can't hear that voice no more. You guys.
Oh, I didn't know what you were doing. I was like,
Teresa got it, and I could hear her wheels turning. How should I respond to this? Should I name the name? Yeah, you guys, what you have to understand is the reason for all of these things is that Chris doesn't ever want to hurt anybody. If he thought he hurt somebody, he would be crushed. And they were working on this book together. How it's so difficult to concentrate on your testimony from the Bible if you have dry, chapped skin.
Yes.
Is that what Dylan said?
No, it's a joke. No, but if you'd ever heard this certain person explain anything, that's the kind of
nothing.
Correct. That's how she would explain things.
Chris is just a really nice person. I don't know why you guys are always having to pick on him so much.
You guys,
just trying to do the right thing by its friends, okay?
You guys, you don't understand.
Right.
He called off the 35C because of all the drama surrounding the 35C. And you'd have to understand, he just doesn't want that. No, really. That's why he's entertaining 11 billion chicks, either through pen pals, which he's then pawning off on other inmates. He's just, here, I've got 57 letters, and there's only one of me. Have fun.
Does this have anything to do with guacamole?
No.
Okay.
No, but now I'm really curious about guacamole.
She means avocados. She means avocado. She didn't even make it to the guacamole. She's not guacamole material.
No.
No, we don't need her brand of guacamole. No, thank you. No, that has nothing. No, it doesn't. No, but that's what Chris did. He shares the letters.
11 billion of them.
Do these bots actually become subscribers? How are they posting?
I don't know.
Well,
Just,
I bought.
They'll just make another one.
There's so many now, everywhere.
I'm sure they have some type of code now and written into their account name that allows them to post even if they're not subs. It's an annoyance more than anything. But
I don't really understand the purpose.
You can't click the link, so what's the purpose?
Yeah, I don't get it either.
And let me tell you I get at least 37 of those in my comment section, and YouTube deletes them immediately. As soon as I get the notification, I go to click on it to remove them. YouTube has done it, along with people who are actually leaving me nice comments. One person commented 3 times, and the 4th comment was successful. I commented under my Jen Lou account on my own channel, and YouTube deleted it.
What?
Yeah, and then people yell at you saying, "Why are you deleting my comments?" When it's
well, they don't. Nobody's ever said anything. Nobody's ever gotten upset about it because I always explain it. Nobody's ever yelled at me, but I have seen people be annoyed with other creators for that, and it's not. I can't say for certain whether it's other creators or not. They're deleting it or not. I can only tell you what I experienced, and I even went into the real studio on the computer and looked at comments held for review, and they're not there either. It's weird and random how they pick what comments are going to be deleted. I don't even know why they deleted my comment. All my comment said was, "I'm not deleting your comments." Boom, deleted.
Delete.
YouTube is just watching like what's that guy? Kristoff from
Frozen?
No, not Frozen. No, it's Ed Harris. He played it in The Truman Show. And the moon was like the base, or where all the electronics and the monitors were that monitored.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that's what YouTube does. I feel like they have this big ass row of monitors watching channels, and they're all in there and they're, hey, you want to start some
all
shit?
part of the Truman Show.
Yeah, you want to start some shit? Go over to the word case studies and delete a comment.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what you got to do it.
I used to think that about Facebook, like all the reports that come in, like people reading them.
I'm always fascinated by when you have to get law enforcement involved in stuff that's happened online, and then you have to explain it to them. Well, see, what had happened was I was just on the Facebooks minding my own business, and I joined a group, and then I posted a comment, and then a whole war got started, and now we're here. Well, what kind of group was it in? You know what I'm saying? Like, then you've got to run through the whole thing.
Right.
I don't watch it, Wilson.
Other group, but then Facebook actually took that group down, so we all transferred over to this other group, and then it was like a hidden group for a while, and then we made it public, and then we had to make it back to hidden. We removed a whole bunch of people in it, but yet still, when I made this one comment that I had made 10 other times, just this time they took it down.
Correct. Violated terms of service, violated community standards. Ridiculous.
Yep.
I wonder how many times law enforcement nowadays are involved in social media wars.
Oh gosh, I don't know.
Probably more than they'd like to be.
But the problem is going to be that there's going to have to be more security put in with, online harassment, online bullying. It could just lead to so many bad things that I just can't see how there's not more monitoring, but yet they can they do all this coding for bots to come in and delete stupid ass comments.
Right.
Like, why are you not paying attention to people who are actually causing harm to other human beings? I don't get that.
Correct. Or they have code written in to content ID, and if you use 27 seconds of a song, boom, you're not monitoring. Copyright claim immediately. That they can do. Yeah. But I will say this as far as YouTube goes. I do agree that they need to enforce their terms of services. Terms of service.
They're all persnickety about the word vid.
Yeah, well,
oh yeah,
they are, but they definitely need to enforce their terms of service. And what's going to end up happening with YouTube, I can see it already, is obviously humans are not capable of policing themselves. So what is going to end up happening is they're going to start coming in, and then we're going to be over censored. Then every little thing is going to set off the algorithm, or cause you to get, have comments deleted, streams ended, etc. So if you guys, and this is just a general to anybody listening out there in the YouTubes, if that's not what you want, then change your behavior.
I agree. Because I think people just there is so many keyboard warriors that they just like to argue over things that they don't even care about.
Right.
I agree.
That's why I don't get into all the drama stuff.
I don't either. That's why I'm happy over here on this channel talking true crime. Could I have a drama channel? Sure could. You think that can you imagine me roasting people?
I got lots of shit to say.
Yeah, me too. Can you imagine me roasting people who aren't on an interrogation tape?
If we were just roast some other YouTubers.
Right. I could totally do it. We could have a
and
really good channel
make tons of money doing it.
Sure
That's
could.
the sad thing.
My mama taught me better.
Me too. I'm of the opinion that if you make money in any way, shape, or form from negativity, whatever that may be, that money then becomes tainted. And I don't need that bad juju. I'd rather just stay over here with you guys, do our true crime, cover the trials, have side conversations just like this, and that's it. My name's Paul, and that's between y'all. Not all of it needs to play out on YouTube either.
I agree.
I agree.
On that note, I got a little person coming in from gymnastics, so I'm gonna hop off. So
All
are
right,
you guys
babe.
are you not doing a live tomorrow?
No, I'm not. I mean, I am, but not about the case. I think I'm either going to do a premiere or I'm going to do a live where you can use a pre-recorded video. I haven't decided yet, but that's what I'm going to talk
busy
about.
tomorrow, right, Teresa?
Yeah, I got class tomorrow night.
Teresa has escuela, so we're waiting.
We'll reconvene Friday. Or wait, what's today?
Today's Wednesday. Yes, Friday.
Okay, yeah, Friday.
All right, I'm good at
Friday.
5:30 Friday if that works for you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
That'll be perfect.
I love Allie's comment, though. I have to say that before I leave. Police? Yes, this is Allie 79. I'd like to press charges against Tiger King 86753.
Me too.
Yeah, we're all gonna go in on that. All right. Love you guys. Thank you guys so much, and I will talk to you guys later.
Thank you, Teresa, for coming. Good night.
Right. Good night. Bye.
I just love doing this. Thanks everybody for coming. I know it's a small group of people, but you're great people.
You are great people, and I really appreciate you guys joining us every single night and participating in the chat, whether it's we're joking around and having side conversations and having a little bit of humor in the middle of something that's so dark, or the questions that you guys ask, theories that you come up with. I'm just, we have a really good group of people, and I really enjoy the shit out of all of y'all.
Me too.
I really do. And I'm very grateful for everybody that comes and supports me by being here and listening. I really do.
And make sure you hit that thumbs up.
Yes, for the love of Pete. I don't even know what that actually does, you guys. I don't know.
I don't either.
But I like to see it. It does make me happy. But on that note, we're going to end this live, and I will be either live tomorrow with a pre-recorded video, or I'm going to do a premiere tomorrow for the next story in the Whatever Happened To files. So with that, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Team Psych Ward. Thank you, chat. You guys are all great. And I will see you lovely people tomorrow. Okay, bye.